Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000 people.
Well, that was some party in downtown Detroit. 775,000 people, shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
This is the future.
All grits.
Evolution. This is the future.
All grits.
Evolution.
All grit.
All right. Welcome to the Rise and Grind Morning Show, everyone. If you are interested in following your Detroit Lions and, of course, the NFL stories all year round, it's right here. You found the right place with the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Now, do us a quick favor before we get rolling right into Dan Campbell's press conference. Hit that subscribe button if you have not already. If you are new this morning, if you turn notifications on after you subscribe, you will be entered into a drawing or a raffle, if you will, by the bot to win a training camp jacket. Every 100 subscribers, we're going to do a show that we're going to be able to give one of those away. We're going to be right back with Dan Campbell's press conference. We're going to load it up for you here. Good morning.
Well, it's been a long road.
All right, everybody in. Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, what's happening?
Good morning, Will Rock and Eric Rintz-Mackey. How you guys doing this morning?
Doing good, man. I can't wait to hear what Dan's going to talk about today. I wonder if we're going to get some updates on on the injuries that we've had this week. Oh, wait a second. Now they're saying it's going to be live in 8 minutes.
Oof. We'll get the most.
So it says July 25 at 8 a.m., but then it says 8 minutes. Hold on here. Let's refresh this page.
But let's
There
go
he
ahead
is.
and do this and see what.
It's football season, man. We're back to having this every day. It's awesome.
All right, first day of pads, so we're excited.
Get the
Guys are
pads
ready to
on.
roll.
Yeah, let's
You know,
get
this
them
is
on,
where
man.
the real evaluation takes place. So it's kind of been building this, getting their bodies ready for this. You know, and now
It'd probably help if I had audio on, huh?
Now we go. So this is where you find out, you know, man, who's who. You know, this is how the game is played, and it's played in pads. And first day of pads. Good morning. All right, first day of pads. So we're excited. The guys are ready to roll. You know, this is where the real evaluation takes place. So it's kind of been building this, getting their bodies ready for this. You know, and now we go. So this is where you find out, you know, man, who's who. You know, this is how the game is played, and it's played in pads. And
One of you guys have this on in the background, or is that me?
so we're excited. Staff's excited. Players are excited.
Yeah, I
Ready to
think
roll.
it's you.
Questions?
You said you'd want to give that initial offensive line look about 10 days to kind of evaluate it. We saw the flipping of Tate and Graham yesterday. What went into that decision? Is that something you're going to kind of stick with, or is it going to be more of a day-to-day flip-flop?
Well, I guess in training camp, it's like dog years, right? So 3 days ends up, really 1 day is like 3 days, I guess. No, just, you know, when you get the day off, you have the ability to kind of sit back, look at it all, think about it, and then it's like, you know what, why don't let's just go ahead and throw Graham back in there at center and get Tate some of these guard reps. We're still going to work him at center, but let's go ahead and do this and see what this looks like for a little bit. We go into pads. And so, like I say, we're just, you know, we're seeing what we can find. What's the best combination? Who's going to play best where? And so Tate will get some center reps. He can go back inside on some stuff.
Christian Mahogany's been pretty locked into that left spot. Untrained eye looks like performing pretty well. What are your impressions of how Christian's fitting in up there?
He's promising. I go back to, this is year 2 for him. He really didn't get a camp last year. He was coming off of the illness that he had, and so had to make up a lot of ground, and he did, to his credit. But really from spring and then even now going into this will suit him well now. There's been it's like anybody else. He needs to clean up a few things, 4 days, but the physicality is going to be there. That's what we know about Mahogany. It'll show up today, So, I like where he's at. He's a young player that's continuing to ascend, and this whole camp's going to be great for him. But yeah, he's doing a good job.
Obviously, it's a fine line, but just how aggressive guys have been, man. How have you liked it? I know you tinkered it down a couple of days, but what have you thought about just how aggressive they've been, even without pass entering camp this year? I know Kirby was saying, you could tinker it down, but he'd rather it be up. But what's your thoughts about it?
Yeah, well, I think that's accurate, man. You'd rather pull back than you would have to constantly prod and try to push, and we need more, and it's a heck of a lot easier to do that. So, man, I love the way our team practices, the intensity, the competition, locking in when things get hard. But, we're not here to fight. And because ultimately, you waste so much time. We're under the clock, and, you spend, if you're going to spend 10, 15 minutes trying to break fights up, you get nothing done. It's just a waste of time, that's all. So things are going to happen. We got competitive guys, but I think the pads will clean a lot of that up, too. Good. He'll be out there today.
Brought in a new class of rookies. How have they been meshing with the culture so far?
It's early. Nothing. There's nothing has got my antenna up or my alarm on with any of those guys. We draft them for a reason. But they're only a few days in. So, maybe asking about a week and a half, and we'll see where that is. We'll have a lot better feeling of where they are, but they're all doing a good job right now.
Barnes, any update there?
Yeah, he'd be out there. Just a finger.
Alex, a couple days ago, and obviously he's frustrated with his current situation. Just kind of curious how important you still view him to the team.
Yeah, so look, you guys know how I feel about Alex, how we feel about Alex. He's one of our dudes, man. We've leaned on him. He's a productive player. We're good. Still talking. There's no animosity here. There's nothing like that. So I'm not going to go into anything else, outside of that. But just we're going to be good. We're going to be good. And yes, we're going to need him.
Defensive end wise, kind of sounds like you had some interest in adding a pass rusher at some point. Is there anything in there? You guys looking to add somebody else?
Just worried about evaluating the guys we got here right now. We got a good crop of guys in here, young players. We're about to go see what we can pull out of them, see what we can develop, see what comes from it, and we'll take it from there. As you know, the evaluation process is never done. I mean, there's so many things out there. You got the other 32 teams. They've got, 90 on their roster. And so not only do we evaluate ours, I mean, Brad has got, he's looking at all these other rosters, and you're predicting, what about this guy? Could something happen here? How does he match up with what we have here? And so you're always looking to, man, how do we bring in more competition? But as far as where we're at right now, we're good. Let's just go compete.
Year five here in Detroit. Seeing some of these guys in your core grow from the single young guys drafted out of college, coming here now, and some of them getting married, bringing their families now out to camp and having kids come around. What's that experience like as a head coach and the guy that brought guys here?
It's just flown. It's crazy. It really is. you know, it's awesome. It's a good feeling to see that, to watch these guys just grow and mature. And now here they go. You know, they're the young families, and they're just starting their life. You know, really. I mean, they're just starting their life. And to know where they've come from, and then you realize how old you are, and it happens fast. It really does. But I'm happy for all those guys. I love our dudes, man.
Yesterday.
Who's that?
Hallett. Haven't seen him play that outside role before. He's been playing some slot. Obviously, he was in the safety mix there with Coach O'Neill said earlier this spring. So, how do you view him? What is with maybe trying him in some different spots?
Well, one of the reasons we like Hallett is because he can play multiple roles. You know, he's a little bit in that niche of Pat O'Connor, you know, who can do so many different jobs. Hallett, you know, can play the nickel. We can put him outside, play some corner. He's playing safety, you know, certainly moving him around on special teams. So there's just a lot of jobs he can do. And there's always going to be value in that.
Terry, it seemed like he's been one of the players who's kind of popped in the first couple of days. Just how impressed have you been with the way that he's returned to campus here?
Well, he's where I would expect him to be going into year 2 after 4 days. You expected another level of confidence, of maturity, and ownership, really, you know, accountability. And that's what you feel right now at this point, which is exactly what we wanted to feel. So, like where he's at going into pads.
Dan, I meant to ask you this earlier when the Michigan Panthers were presumably still going to be here, but would you be open to like the potential of the NFL adopting the UFL as a farm system where you could send players down and bring them up, and could they kind of work side by side all year? Is that something that you think would work?
Well, look, certainly I don't make those decisions, right? Nobody cares what I think about that. I think it would be great. I think, you know, I go back to NFL Europe was awesome, you know, back in the day, because that was a chance to really develop guys. And but I still feel like there's a part of it that really is that. I mean, we've gotten a couple players out of there now, and I know other teams have. And so, because you get to see them, man, they're playing in the spring, so they're in shape. They're just coming off of running around, being football ready, and so that's enticing us too. It's like, man, if you need a guy, at least you know you've got evidence right there versus somebody that's been home for 3 months. Yeah, they can say they're working out, but you don't know. It's not football working out like these guys are. So it's still a little bit of that way, you know. You do feel like you're kind of, you see some of these guys develop, and maybe you got a chance to pluck them, bring them in.
Can you speak to Jack Campbell's maturation, especially in the past year, specifically on the mental side of the game?
Look, he was, you know, when he came in, he was pretty good. Man, he was one of these guys that was a little bit ahead of everything mentally. And now to see where his growth is, you know, it's impressive. He's done an outstanding job. He's got a good feel of the game. He understands the game. He knows what we're trying to do defensively. He did with AG, and even more so now with Shep. And so with that, we're going to give him a lot more. You know, he and Alex both, you know, a lot more flexibility to get us into the play, because he also studies, man. He studies the opponent. He's studying our offense, and he's trying to get in any little key that he can. And that just makes us better. So he's look, it's one of the reasons we drafted him is for that. You know, some of these teams that have this, you know, some of these Mike linebackers you think of that, man, they're run and hit and smart as a whip, and you know, that's why we like Jack.
Is that one of the more enjoyable parts of practice, I guess, is seeing the chess match between him and Jared? Because Jared talked about that yesterday. It was just kind of them going.
It is fun. You know, it is fun to watch. You know, you watch both sides go back and forth, and then if something happens day one, then whether it didn't happen at the end of practice, you know, you figured it out and were able to answer back. It's going to happen in the afternoon practice or the next day's practice, where somebody's going to adjust. Defense got you, offense has got to adjust, and so it is good. And I've said this before, that's how you get better. You just continue to raise the floor. Everybody gets better and better and better. And then pretty soon when you do enough of it, your weaknesses begin to go away on both sides of the ball.
All right, Dan Campbell's press conference is over. This is going to be a great time to talk about Pro Sports Zone. Get in the zone, get all of your equipment, get all of your gear, get all of your jerseys over at Pro Sports Zone. Go visit John Yu, man. He has it all, wall-to-wall merchandise. Only the best stuff at Pro Sports Zone. All of the newest, hottest designs in stock. Of course, only the best service and the lowest prices at Pro Sports Zone. I was just there not too long ago. We're going to be back here in a couple of weeks. Come visit John Yu at the Pro Sports Zone at 37700 6 Mile Road, Livonia, Michigan. 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and 11 to 6 on Sundays. Pro Sports Zone, man, get in the zone. Get your Lions gear today. I said it yesterday, guys, and I'm going to say it again. What a great way to start off a day with a press conference from the Detroit Lions. Dan seemed a little bit less irritated today. Wasn't as, I don't know, gung-ho, I guess, as he was the other day. It's not a bad thing. I think he probably has gotten it all out of his system for the first few days. And he was probably running into camp just, all hot and bothered on 6 cups of coffee a day and ready to get at it. He probably wants to strap it up every day and go out there and fight with these guys, literally. Dan was talking about earlier. Well, first of all, good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Rockhound Detroit Lions Rise and Grind Morning Show. Dan Campbell's press conference just ended, and now we're going to break it down. So without going into any of the notes that I just wrote, all 5,000 words of it, what is your immediate reaction of today, Eric, and then Riley?
Mine was, I don't think Dan was really prepared to answer the question about Alex Anzalone. It seemed like, I just stepped on a hornet nest. Oh, crap, what do I say? So he was trying to toe the line between coach and GM and what the team has to say and what he's allowed to say.
So are you saying you don't believe what he said?
I don't know. He was saying how important Alex was to the team, and he's talking about Alex as being there and on the team later on. So I like that. But he was also talking about how they had a situation that they had to deal with, and they're working on it, and they're still communicating. They're still talking. So that doesn't give me a lot of hope. I would rather him say, yep, it's almost buttoned up. We'll get this fixed. We'll be back in no time. Alex will be in camp sooner than you think. That's what I want to hear. Not, we're still talking. That's just me.
I think it's a great thing that they're still talking. Riley, what did you think, your initial knee-jerk reaction of today's press conference?
Yeah, that Dan did seem a little less on edge. And I think that, I don't know, I know for me, whenever I've got something to look forward to, like he does today, you get to put the pads on. Now you've got an outlet for your stress. I think he's just excited to hit the field and let these guys start doing the Fight Club thing. He says we're not going to fight, but as we know in the video that you did that pushed about 20,000 plays, that's a little hypocritical for Coach Campbell.
I think that was a different time, in football, and I love it. And I'm hoping that people didn't think, which I'm sure they did, that Dan started a fight in Lions camp to get it going. They probably thought that. It's kind of funny how that video dropped right when camp was opening.
Right.
And I thought about that after the fact. I'm like, everyone's going to start thinking that Dan started a fight in camp. But you know what? I didn't get any bad reviews, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Then he put 2 fights out and canceled practice twice. So.
Right. So it's like the story of the week. It was perfect timing.
Right.
Perfect. I couldn't have timed it any better. All right. So let's dive into this, man. First and foremost, he talks about finding the best combination between Tate Ratledge and Graham Glasgow. He says that Tate's still going to get some work today at center when they go inside and do some more individual drills. I don't think this is a story. I think that this is training camp. This is what it's all about. You've given Tate probably an overload over the first few days of information. His brain is probably on fry mode, and he needs to just relax and go back to what he's known, which is right guard. So this is a non-story, but sticking with the offensive line, he talked about Mahogany locked in that left spot, and expects a big-time physical presence today, as well as he's just been trending upwards ever since he's had an opportunity to start playing with this team last year after going through mono, missing all of camp, and Dan Campbell mentioning how important it was for Mahogany to have a full camp this year and how good it was going to be for him. So, look, I mean, I give that statement, all of that statement, A+++. I expected Mahogany to be the left guard this year, and so far that's the case. We'll just go left to right all day. So whenever I ask a question, we'll just go Eric, Riley, then back to me. Eric, what is your comments on the offensive line so far?
Well, I would think that Jared Goff has the biggest vote when it comes to, hey, I want this guy at center or I want this guy at guard. So this might be, hey, we tried it out for a couple days with Tate Ratledge at center. Can we go back to Graham Glasgow for a few days? I want to see which guy is giving me the best ball in shotgun, which guy's giving me the best ball under center, because ultimately I think this comes down to Jared Goff having to decide which guy he likes best at center.
It's a great take. Go ahead, Riley.
Yeah, I kind of agree right with it, because what we know, what is not going to happen is that there's not going to be this window of, you got to kind of experiment with some stuff, but the standard is as high as it can get. So I'm right there with you, Eric. For Goff, is if the guy that is in front of him or one of the guys in front of him is not doing their job, get him out, get somebody else in. We got to figure this out quick, because what's not going to happen is we're going to allow this offensive line to dip in its standard of expected performance.
Do me a favor and check your phones and just say okay when you get it, and hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say there. Real quick to the chat here, Brent Lighton talking about Alex Anzalone says that Dan said the right things here, about loving Alex. Obviously, if it comes down to signing him to an extension at 31, 32 years old versus signing Branch or Laporta, it's obviously a no-brainer. You're going to keep Branch and Laporta, which I think is, I think that's what you're saying, Brent. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no way we're going to lose Branch or Laporta over Alex. And since we're talking about Alex, we'll just skip down the sheet a little bit. Dan says that he wants Alex in the house. He says there's no animosity. We are going to be good. And yes, he wants Alex back. My initial reaction to this is, whether Alex is on or off the team, back or not back with this team, in any capacity, he's good. Like, they're still going to be friends. They're still good, coach and player. I kind of took it that way, but I could see it leading in another direction, that things are good between them. They've had some more conversations since. He obviously can't communicate anything on the contract situation, or if anything has happened since Alex's interview. But man, that interview still bugs me. And I'm, it was taken down. I don't know if we mentioned this the other day, but the link that was shared to me that I did the video on about Alex, that whole video was taken down. Not mine, but the interview part of Alex was taken down off the internet.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
They took it down. Wow.
So it's enlightening, that someone didn't want that out there, that maybe too much was said or was captured, and maybe not everybody had the full interview. And then if you go back and listen, I don't even think that interview is up on the Lions website. I doubt it is, but it's not up there. So I'm glad that we got the whole thing and that I was able to break it down a little bit. So obviously, I mean, Eric, that Alex is super important to this team, has been. And I don't think he's a has-been. I think that Alex still has a lot to give, man.
Yeah, I want Alex back on this team just as much as anyone else, but I'm to the point now, I either want them to trade him or sign him.
Yeah.
One of the two, but by the end of this week, by Sunday, get it done. It just get this done on your days off, on Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever. But let's stop pussyfooting around. Let's get it done. Let's get into camp. No more distractions. Let's go.
Dude, I love it. I love that energy, because how long have we had to wait, for all these other things to happen, especially with other teams, You know, they're just dragging this stuff out, and it's never been the Lions. We haven't had to deal with that. But you're right. It's time to go. It's time to win a Super Bowl. Get your ass in camp or go home, right?
Yep.
I mean that from all the love in my heart for Alex, because I legit love him on this team. So, but I get the energy. I love it. Riley.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard for us to say, right? We're not in the room. We're not in the negotiations. You've expressed empathy to Alex in the situation, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. You got to suit up and play. And if he doesn't get a deal with the Lions, who's going to pay him? How much? And is it going to be worth leaving this team that you are such an important part of in building? I think that deadline makes sense, Eric. Let's figure this out. Get your ass in camp. If you're going to play, let's go.
I love it, man. Good compliment here this morning by Roger Olowski. Hopefully you got my email, buddy. I sent you an email response kind of explaining some things. You got a box on the way to you. And he says, good morning to all the Lions pride, man. Appreciate all three of you guys. So excited for the season to start. We are too, man. There's a lot of great comments in here this morning. I loved how Bill Rowland is kind of in this no drama attitude this morning. Let me throw that up on the board. And he says 100%, Eric, no drama. No drama. We don't want the drama. And unfortunately, it comes with the territory. You know, it just does. This is the NFL. There's always going to be a little bit of drama. We're going to talk about some more drama later. Let's kick it back to the aggressiveness in the camp. Dan Campbell says, you know, that he doesn't want the fights. He doesn't want the time suck. You know, it's hard to get these guys broken up, and then you have to reset, then you have to get back into it. You got to let things tamper down a little bit. Here's my thoughts, right? It's kind of easier to ask for forgiveness, right, than it is to put forth the energy. If you have to manufacture intensity, it's a little different than manufacturing a blitz. Intensity has to be there. And I think what Dan says is that he says it's better to pull back than it is having to ask for more. And I think it's a perfect statement. And again, like I say, it's easier to ask for forgiveness later for getting in a fight. At least your intensity is there and you're bringing up the level of the play in camp. You know, the other thing that I wanted to highlight kind of with this is in the beginning of his press conference today, he mentioned something about getting their bodies right? Getting their bodies used to camp, and how he kind of mentioned towards the end, and maybe I'm jumping too far ahead, but talking about, bringing guys in off the couch and in the UFFL, aspect, utilizing that as a farm system. But he says those guys have their bodies right. They're in, a camp, or they're on a team. They're playing every day. They're in practice. They're ready to go, versus guys at home. Yeah, they're working out, but it's not the same, right? You're not button heads. You're not slapping pads. You're just going to the gym and working out. Huge difference. And something that I've highlighted often is that training camp, early in training camp, and it kind of goes in line with Michael Garrity's question last night, are the trainers to blame? And that's a topic we'll get on later. And I said, quite simply, I don't think so, because these guys that are coming into camp right now, they just took a month off. Their bodies are soft. And so what Dan Campbell is trying to say this morning is these guys have to get right. They have to go through it. Today is going to be the first day where, honestly, we're probably going to have a lot more bumps and bruises coming out of today when pads come on. It's expected. So let me wind all that back, because I just kind of meshed three things. Aggressiveness in camp, better to pull back than to ask for more. I guess, what are your thoughts?
Well, I liked what Dan Campbell said right away about the UFL and NFL Europe. If you're older like me, you remember NFL Europe and how awesome it was. They had a couple of designated guys that were designated to the Detroit Lions to be kind of like practice squad players, right? And there was always like an offensive lineman and a quarterback. And I would go to whatever teams they were on, and that's the teams I would watch. And I loved NFL Europe, and I wish they still had it. And I think the NFL wishes they still had it, because they're trying to get into these European markets now. And how good would it be if they had their spring system over in Europe once again? I think it would have. I think it was a big mistake for them to go away from NFL Europe.
I don't remember NFL Europe at all. I don't remember the last time that they played. I don't remember that. Like, it just never really registered for me. Does anyone have a time frame?
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, I don't remember even a time frame. But talking about the aggressiveness, I guess what are your thoughts on it, Riley? That, you know, where do you sit on this whole topic?
Yeah, so when you were doing the mailbag show last night, and appreciate everybody sending in great there's some awesome comments and questions from people in the chat here. So obviously appreciate you guys. But Will, you said Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brian Branch, it's like brothers, right? It's not a bad thing that they're fighting. You know why they're fighting is because they don't play on the same side of the ball. If they played on the same side of the ball and one of them got in a skirmish, the other would run to the aid of the other. It's not personal. They're not, you know, and I got thinking about it when you said that. I thought, you know, Dan Campbell, if there hadn't been some fights and some these little whatever skirmishes that are happening, I think he'd be looking around saying, what the hell's going on? Because he expected it. So when he sees it, yeah, you got to rein it in. Well, I'm sure your sons have fought before, right?
Never. That would never happen in my house. Never.
On it right away, right? No, but yeah, I'm sure if Megan's around, you'd probably say, hey, all right. But deep down, you're kind of like, good. I want this. You want to see it. So yeah, I think it's to be expected. And, you know, they're coming off a 15-win season and they're angry. They want to get back. Montgomery said it. This team has a very clear objective. So I'm not surprised. And I don't think Dan Campbell is either. And I'm sure most of us aren't either to see it.
So funny story, since you brought up my kids this morning, gosh, the memories just, I can see all the fights. Like, they're just running through my head like a slideshow right now. But it's hilarious because, you know, Jade being the older brother, and they're only separated by like 14 months. So Jade being the older brother, you know, he'd beat up on Chris a little bit, right? And then I kept telling him, I said, man, you keep doing this and Chris is going to get bigger than you. You just watch. You're bigger, stronger, faster now, but he's going to be bigger than you someday, and it's all going to come back. Take a guess at what happened.
Your scouting report was accurate.
It was 1,000%. I could see it in the fingers and the toes. He was going to be a lot taller than Jade, and he's, you know, playing. He's going to be playing college ball, and he's throwing some heaters, man. So, not to say he's a fighter, because he's not, but Chris doesn't back down from anybody. So. Good morning to my boys, man. Love them, miss them tons. So the next part of this was Terry and Arnold, man. I mean, huge news for us this morning. Now, I don't think a lot of us expected that Terry and Arnold was going to miss a ton of time. It didn't sound like the injury was extremely bad, but Terry and Arnold is back in camp today, first day of pads. The calf injury seems to have worked its way, you know, out of his system. He's feeling better. So big statement for the Lions today, having their second year player, their corner that is supposed to man the other side opposite DJ Reed back in town. Barnes, the other one, was a finger issue. It sounds like he's back at practice today as well. And let's dive into the rookies' culture. So Dan Campbell was asked the question very simply. Guys seem to be fine. Dan is not worried yet at this point. He said to ask again next week. Quite simply just saying, you know, what's going on with the rookies? He was asked, how are they fitting in with the culture? How are they fitting in with the team? It's too early to tell. Like, we're into week 1 of training camp. You know, everything is gravy when they're, you know, working out, you know, and it's OTAs and it's light stuff and it's different now. Now it's time to get real. We'll see where the chippiness level gets to. I bet you we hear Ahmed Hassanin's story by the end of the day. If not, by the end of the weekend, we're going to hear something. So, yeah, take it down.
Yeah, we are definitely going to hear a Hassanin story with pads going on today. The kid's just got a nonstop motor and never stops. Just a real quick tidbit about our last segment. NFL Europe went from 1989 to 2007. And to get back on point, I love that Terrion Arnold's out there. I love that Derek Barnes is out there. And I'm just going to say this to everyone that listens to this show and any other show. When you see the headlines that blah, 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 this player got hurt or injured in camp today and they left the field, unless they leave on a stretcher, it's most likely just a nick, a cut, a bruise, something small, something that if you were on a high school team, it wouldn't even get reported on. So just take it with a grain of salt when you hear the injuries. They're typically small things that the media likes to make into great big things this time of year.
Yeah, we just give our updates here, man. We just want to keep everybody in line with what's going on, but we're not going to make it over glorified, right? I'll do the live streams or the videos, give you guys an update, but unless there's something, extremely bad, which in all these cases, we don't hear of it right away because the guys are going off the field and we don't know why. And the media likes to put it out there that they left practice early, leg injury, left practice early, early hand injury. Getting the details matters, but sometimes the details don't come out for 24 to 48 hours. And that's the hard thing about it. But I appreciate everyone joining in the lives and touching in the videos, staying involved with the team, man. It's great. There's a few things there to touch on. I don't know if you had anything, Riley.
Yeah, just again, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we hear something on Ahmed. I'm sure Corey would vouch for that. I understand he's probably already had to be told a couple of times from coaches, "Hey, that's your teammate, dial it back." But it's great that that's his motor. And the moment we drafted him, it was pretty obvious that that's, the dude's got a huge heart. So excited to see him on the field. And then as for the rookie class as a whole, man, we talked about it the other day, going into the draft, it was like, let's just get a few pieces. Well, now suddenly it seems like, man, they're relying on these players. And that's a good thing because I feel like they picked mature people and football players who it's not going to be easy, but the honeymoon phase is over now. Now they're putting pads on. Now things are getting real, and I'm excited for it.
It's definitely getting real, man. Pads are on. It's ready to fly for these guys, or it's time to fly for these guys. Just taking a look at something just flashed across my screen. I thought there was an update. Nothing yet. Nothing happening yet. I'll be watching the wire all day today, man. I hope nothing bad happens. Another player that's going to be out at practice today is Roy Lopez. So I think that Dan Campbell made light of that situation, that it wasn't really a big deal at all, which is good. I believe it was his foot was stepped on in practice. His cleat kind of got buried in the turf. So maybe he twisted up his ankle. Maybe he's got some cuts or abrasions or contusions on the top of his foot. So that one wasn't a big deal at all, but he's back, which is great news, right? I mean, we're already down some defensive tackles. We need these guys to stay healthy. So they've gotten through the first, few days of practice. They've got bumps and bruises. They're hardening that shell. And now we're going to see what these guys are made of today. Lions always evaluating other rosters. So kind of a segue away from players being injured. And if the Lions need to bring someone in, we know this about Brad. At the end of training camp, when cuts happen, or at the end of preseason, when cuts happen, I think every season, he's brought someone in, or a couple of players. If not for interviews, he's added somebody to the roster right away. I'm expecting the same thing this year. And depending on how training camp goes and how healthy that we stay, I don't think it's going to be the corner room, assuming that we stay healthy, or the DB room as a whole. I think that area is going to be linebacker and defensive line. I think that those are the two areas that Brad is really hawking the NFL right now and trying to find some guys to fit in. I don't have any players to think about today, but I'll look at it over the weekend. Next up, Dan said that he wasn't concerned about adding anybody right now. Like we have the players that we need in the in-house today. Like, let's focus on the players that are here. He did speak about Eric Hallett, though, which was some good news that popped out during the week when Terry and Arnold went down, that Eric Hallett got some work on the outside. He's also very versatile, which is something that we highlighted early in the offseason. He can play the nickel. He can play the slot, the safety, the corner. He can do it all. He's a Swiss Army knife. And he's also getting special teams work. So good information by Dan. Again, reaffirming why they brought him in, right? Eric Hallett getting some extra work today. We talked about the farm system. Let's finish this up with Jack Campbell. Then anything else you guys want to add? I tried to post the receipts in the trailer this morning. I don't know if you guys could hear the audio. I don't know why I couldn't. But that video I did a few weeks ago where I said that Jack Campbell was going to dethrone Alex Anzalone to be the leader of this defense. He has clearly done that. And I do have another video coming out today that discusses that a little bit more in depth based on the audio that I have from Brad and Dan. I think that this is Jack's defense from here on out. Whether Alex is in camp or not, this is Jack's defense. What I really loved about Dan's message today is, number one, Jack was already solid when he came into the team, his maturity level, right? And he's even grown since then. He has a lot more on his plate this season. The staff is giving him more to do, obviously overloading him early, getting him overwhelmed to see if is it going to fluster him or not, and it's not. And the reason why is because Jack is a bookworm. This guy not only studying his own defense, he's studying the opponent's offense, which you would expect every defender to do, but he's studying his own offense. Jared Goff and the rest of the squad. Why? Because those are some of the best football players in the league. If you can figure out how to stop those guys, you're going to have incredible success in the NFL. So I love this about Jack Campbell. Just a fascinating pickup. A lot of people got all over Brad for bringing him in so early in the draft. How smart does Brad look now?
Yep. Excuse me. There are some really intriguing battles, and Brad Holmes done a great job bringing in the right people at the right time. And man, Eric Hallett, perfect. The guy's all over the place, Swiss Army knife, fits a bunch of different positions. Probably doesn't play any of them at a Pro Bowl level, but he can fill in at any spot. And that's nice to see. Guys don't have to be a Swiss Army knife for the Detroit Lions. You don't have to be an all-pro at every single position that you can play, but you have to be really good at each of those positions.
Absolutely. And then you think about the level of compliment. How would you guys feel? And I'll ask everybody in the chat today as well. If you were a football player on this roster and Dan Campbell or Brad Holmes came out and said, this defense belongs to this player, to Will Rock or to Eric Rintamaki or whoever. I mean, that the compliment is beyond what words can even express. Now, again, this is the trajectory that they envisioned for him. I remember the inside the den after he was drafted, he's like, I like being the guy that's, getting tobacco spit in my face when I'm, he wants the coaching. He wants to improve. He eats, sleeps, and breathes football. And it was, I don't know, maybe a month ago. That was the thumbnail. That was the title that you said he's going to dethrone Alex Anzalone. Wasn't saying Alex wasn't going to be on the team, but yes, this is a defense led by Jack Campbell, which says a lot for a defense with the talent on that side of the ball. I'm excited for Jack Campbell for sure.
Well, it's Jack Campbell's defense here in 2025, but that does not mean that Aiden Hutchinson isn't a big-time influence on this defense. He is also a big leader for the Detroit Lions, and last night I put out a video of him highlighting Marcus Davenport. If you haven't had an opportunity to watch that video, I would encourage you. I will play some of the audio today. We'll kind of recap a little bit about what Aiden Hutchinson said about Marcus Davenport. My goal here is I know that Marcus doesn't want us talking about him. He doesn't care if it's positive or negative. He just wants to be left the hell alone. He wants to go to work. But my goal here is there's been so much trash talked about this guy, and you know from who. And there's a few others. People around the league, the NFL media, local media. Everyone has jumped on this dude's case. But when you hear it from Brad and you hear it from Dan, that this guy's the right fit, the perfect fit, as long as he stays on the field, like he's going to be one of the better defensive ends in the league. How can you not trust that? So we're going to get into that today. Of course, we're going to now transition after Dan Campbell's press conference into some of the NFL news, rumors and stories from around the league. Just got to get this video to stop here.
quick question, and I understand this could lead to a whole other conversation, but how many of the starters do you guys expect to play in the Hall of Fame game against LA next week?
Zero.
One series. I think the defense will be on the field. At least for maybe the first quarter, you'll probably see half of the starters out there. I expect Jared Goff to get in there for one series. Now, last year, if I remember correctly, I was at the game. I don't think any of the starters got in.
Nope.
So it could be the same this year, but I guess given where we are and what happened last year, I would say the defense is probably more important than the offense. There's more questions on the defense. I think Tyreek Williams is definitely going to need some time in, but I guess it's a loaded question because you can go down so many different rabbit holes. One of the things that I've always said, and a matter of fact, I think I said it last night, is these guys are getting stepped on in practice, and it's because you have newbies playing around you. You have not developed that chemistry yet. And if you haven't developed the dance moves with your partner, what's going to happen, man? You got two left feet while you're dancing together. You're stepping all over each other. You're missing the cues. Same thing in the NFL in practice. They haven't developed their chemistry yet. So the cohesion isn't there. So these guys are running into each other. They're trying to attack the same gap, or, one guy's going this way, one guy's going that way, and they're not supposed to. They're supposed to go the other way. That's the kind of crap that happens early in camp. So by putting your guys in early in a game like this, that's where you might suffer some more injuries, because the guys on the other side of the ball, they're not there either. They're not totally ready. And it's the mistakes that happen. And I guess I don't really know how to describe this other than saying, when you're a professional master at what you do, right, you don't make mistakes usually. It's very few and far between. When you're a rookie, you're expected to make mistakes. In the NFL, most of the injuries happen from the guys that are making mistakes. And those aren't the guys that are typically getting injured. It's the guys around them that are getting injured. And that's what you don't want to see happen in this game. So to your question, I would say if the offense gets in, it's going to be one series, but I would expect the defense on a little bit more. I'm going to skip past my first one there. We've already done enough video for today. If we get time at the end, I'll throw it up. But I'll just preface it by this. If you guys have not seen the Hard Knocks trailer yet, it looks like it's going to be a phenomenal season. The Buffalo Bills getting the nod this year, and they've got a message, man. They've got a message for everybody, and they want it heard. I thought the trailer was just banging. I mean, it gets you going, man. It gets you right in your throat. So Riley, bring us into, some of the biggest news that popped out last night and how it affects the Lions. Maybe.
Yeah, for sure. Christian Wilkins. So NFL, right? It's one of the acronyms, not for long. And this is one that once it hit, I had to stop and do a mental, like, wait, hey, didn't he just sign a deal last year? Yeah, he did for 4 years, $110 million. So he ends up playing just 5 games last year before a foot injury sidelines him with the Raiders. So he earned about $10 million per game. But the Raiders have voided and released Christian Wilkins. So obviously everyone jumps to the conclusions and thought process, is there a fit in Detroit? Raiders voided $35.2 million in remaining guaranteed money for Wilkins. They used a terminated vested veteran designation, citing dissatisfaction with his rehab process. Now, we talked a little bit on the panel here this morning. It wasn't just that they didn't like how he approached his rehab. From, I think, Eric, you said, it was also that they wanted him to have a surgery that he didn't want to have, correct?
Yes. And then today, the Raiders have released a statement, and this is what it says. We've decided that it is in the best interests of the organization to move on from Christian Wilkins, and he has been informed of his release from the team. This franchise has a commitment to excellence on and off the field, with no clear path or plan for future return for play from Christian. This transaction is necessary for the entire organization to move forward and prepare for the new season. Now, I also looked at Christian's contract and some of the things that have been going on. So he signed his contract in 2024. Okay, it was for $110 million. And then this March 2025, on March 11th, 2025, they converted $20.5 million of a roster bonus into a signing bonus, creating $15.3 million of cap space with Las Vegas. So this move is going to, I think, cripple the Las Vegas Raiders. I think this is some doom and gloom coming for the Raiders.
I don't necessarily feel like it's going to cripple them. I get what you're saying there. They have plenty of money. They had a ton of money to start the season. I think one of the most in the NFL this year, and I'm not sure where they're at cap-wise. The one thing about contracts that sucks is when you do these signing bonuses and it's stretched out for the length of the contract or 5 seasons, the minute you cut this player, it all comes off your cap sheet. So it's all due this year, right? And of course, depending on when you let the player go or whatever happens, I think you can spread it out over 2 seasons at the most. The part that I was interested in, and I don't know if either of you touched on, I was trying to get that tweet up. I didn't know you were going to do that right away. I was trying to get that up, so I didn't hear. But according to Spotrac, Wilkinson's 4-year, $110 million deal that included that $82.75 million in guarantees and the $57.5 million in full guarantees, Wilkins made $49.7 million for playing 5 games with the Red. That's a ton, right? So he's making $10 million a game. Now he got a $24 million signing bonus in 24, a $5 million base salary in 24, $120K roster bonus per game in 24, but he was only active for 5 games. $92,000 workout bonus in 24 and $20.5 million in restructure bonus in 25. So with the Raiders voiding the remaining $35.2 million of guarantees on his contract last month, Wilkins filed a grievance for that money. So where this turns into Lions potential is, what would it cost the Lions to bring in Christian Wilkins? And right now, the answer is we don't know. The best guess would be, let's assume that $35.2 million gets placed back on the books. Well, the next team that would bring him in based on this contract would be null and void. The contract's done, right? So if the Raiders fired you, that contract stays with that team, which means that Christian Wilkins could walk into the Detroit Lions if there was a fit. I'm not saying that there's a fit yet. And yes, Riley, he is someone that I was very interested in last season. He might want to only sign for $35 million just to play a couple of seasons because he got all the rest of the money out of that contract already.
Right. He can walk in and negotiate from scratch.
Yeah. And think about the Russell Wilson deal. Think about the Aaron Rodgers deal. Russell Wilson played for $1 million last year because he already received all of his money, like 34 million, from others. It looks like someone's trying to call into the show this morning. We're not taking calls just yet, but we will here in a little bit.
Maybe it's Christian Wilkins. Maybe he wants.
Yeah, maybe it is.
He got the show number.
The Wilson comparison, it makes sense. Wilkins is 30. So he's still. You'd think he feels like he's got plenty in the tank. I would imagine. So does he want to just go to a team that he feels like he can win right away and then find a sweet spot? Give me $8 million, $9 million, $10 million. I have no idea what it would cost, but.
So the biggest thing here, and I see the comment by Brent Lighton, in the chat that Wilkins' career is over. I don't think that his career is over. I mean, the biggest issue right now is that Wilkins didn't want a second surgery. I think, did he have a Liz Frank fracture in the foot? Is that what it was?
It was something with his foot.
Well, I know it was his foot, but was it a Liz Frank fracture? I guess is the question. I can't remember now.
I'm the one that put this up, so I should know this right off the top of my head. It wasn't a Liz Frank. It's hang on, give me 1 second and I'll get it. It's a weird kind of term on it, and I had to look the injury up.
What I need to know is the impact, long term. So if he needed to get a second surgery, that's what the Raiders were asking him to do, and he said no. I want to go through a different course of rehab. And so now the season's getting started and he can't go, right? He's not ready to go. And the Raiders expected him to be ready to go. And that's why all of this is coming down the pike, is that he's not ready. And he avoided another surgery. Again, if you're trying to call the show this morning, we're not taking calls just yet. You're going to have to wait a few moments, please. I don't know who's trying to call this morning. The number's not coming up.
Might be your doctor.
It's a Jones fracture. So it's a break in the bone in the outer side of the foot. Typical recovery time, 6 to 8 weeks. But
so you're talking a 320-pound defensive lineman with a break on the outside, the plant side of the foot. Right? You plant on the inside, but you rest on the outside. Right? So when you anchor and you're coming back, that backside of your foot is what's holding up your body. That's significant, right?
Yeah,
so could he come back next year? Absolutely. Could he be ready to go mid-season? 1,000% he could. The question is how much. Does he make sense for the Lions? We need guys that can play right now today. And so for that reason, just like they say on Shark Tank, I'm out on Wilkins. You had your chance last year. You wanted way too much money, and I'm not saying that Brad would have signed him because that's just not his MO, but Wilkins was on Brad's radar when he was with the Rams. It is one of the players that he did speak with. That I do know, and that's why Wilkins was on my radar last year. So, final thoughts?
We're waiting on Lee McNeil. I'm not going to wait on Wilkins.
I love it.
Yep, I'm right there with you.
Let's get into Eric. What do you got, man? There was a player that we talked about earlier in the offseason that we were interested in. He had a very unique story. So let's highlight that one.
Yeah, so the Bucks have placed their 450-pound rookie Desmond Watson on the NFI, the non-football injury list, for a very specific reason. And that reason is that he still weighs 450 pounds. So when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers drafted him in the 2000 NFL draft, he was 6'6", 464 pounds, and he is now down to 450 pounds. But for the Buccaneers, that's not enough. And this is what they said: it's just about trying to get him better, to be a healthier player and get him on the field a little more, said head coach Todd Bowles to reporters on Wednesday. So I've never heard of a player being placed on NFI to start training camp for being overweight.
So this morning, before we jumped on air, the one idea that I had is there a potential that inside his contract that he had a weight clause that said, you know, if you were not at this weight, you can't play? Is it a health concern? And I would say, yes, it's a possibility. I mean, anything can be in these contracts, but two, is it a health concern, not only to him, but others, right? In the league. I didn't know he was, I guess I couldn't remember that he was 470, 480 pounds. I thought he was 450.
Yeah.
But you're saying he lost 50 pounds, right?
The one story I read is that he lost 30 pounds since being drafted, and he's really working hard at it. And he goes on and talks about how when he would drive somewhere, that was the worst, because he would just pull into a fast food restaurant, get some food while he's driving and keep going, or stop at a gas station to get gas. He'd go in and get junk food.
Junk food, yeah.
Well, now he's driving past the fast food restaurants. Now he's getting his gas at the pump. He's paying at the pump. He's not going in. He's not getting a soda. He's not getting the junk food. So he is doing better, but he just hasn't lost enough for the Bucks just quite yet. And I want to know what the number is. I want to know how far he really has to get down, because he said he's lost 30 pounds already.
Yes. So we got about 2 minutes here. 464 pounds is what he weighed at his Florida Gators pro day. As of 16 hours ago, he weighs 449. So what is that? That's a little less than 20 pounds, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about 15 pounds. Interesting that different numbers are being reported.
Yeah.
That's kind of odd. I would say that they probably want him down to at least 425 or under 400. Ever heard of GLP-1s? Like, literally, you can lose a ton of weight quickly. I've seen it. I've seen people drop 50 pounds inside of a year on GLP-1s. Why can't he be on that? I mean, anyone can have it. It's not necessarily going to hurt you. As a matter of fact, I'm not a doctor, so do your own research. There's so many benefits to this stuff that's being reported now, but we don't know the long term, what's going to happen in 20 years. But with everything I've been through, hell, I might even start it because after all these surgeries, man, the mobility just becomes less and less and less the more I sit at this desk. I got to get out there and I got to get to rowing, man. I got to get rowing. That's what I need to do. So I feel it, man. It's hard to drive past all of these Culvers and the cement mixers and, you know, the fries and all that good stuff. You got to have the willpower to put something in your car. Or when you go into a place, you grab protein like I did this morning. Or grab a coffee and a protein, not a honey bun. You know, thank God McDonald's doesn't have cinnamon rolls anymore. that was the death of me every morning, man. I had to get at least 3 of those things.
I'll tell you right now, I'm on a GLP-1 and I've been for a couple years now, and mine's not so much for weight loss, mine is for my blood sugars, and it does an incredible job maintaining my blood sugars for my diabetes, and I am off all of my medications except for one for diabetes now.
That's awesome, man. I mean, diabetes. Remember, who's the guy that always said that? Diabetes in the commercials. Remember him?
Yeah.
Little white-haired guy. I can't remember his name now.
Yeah.
All right, NFC North report. Before we get into that, we got to take a quick break. I think I'm already past the hard out. No, we're right on time today. Look at that. Eric, you're going to walk us through UFFL.
In the scene today. All right, here we go. So UFFL, it's your one-stop shop for anything rocks. If you're a Rockhound, go to UFFLites.com today. Check it out. We have the best UV lights. I have every size of stone you can possibly think of. And if you're going to anywhere on the Great Lakes to look for rocks, gems, and minerals, UFFLites.com is the place to get all your gear to go rock hounding, whether it's during the day or at night.
UFFLites, great stuff. Thank you, Eric. All right. Thank you guys for joining the Rise and Grind morning show this morning. We still have another hour in front of us. We're going to get into the NFC North report, and then we're going to dial into the Lions news and what's left over for the last hour from 9 to 10 a.m. Do us a quick favor, like the stream right now. Let's get those likes up, get these ads off. You know the drill. I hate to have to remind everybody every single day, but if you help us out with likes, we kill the ads every day so that you guys don't have to pay for YouTube Premium. It helps to have a seamless interaction with the show and with everybody in the chat. We appreciate it. We appreciate everybody giving us an opportunity to earn your subscription today. And if you are new and you have notifications turned on, you will be entered automatically into the training camp jacket giveaway that is triggered by the bot in the live shows. I do pop-up shows, and I'll do a pop-up live just to give something away to somebody. And that's the only way you're ever going to know, unless you're watching YouTube 24/7 and you get a notification. How are you going to know, right? So do that favor for us this morning. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell 5 more friends. Let's get this up to 20,000 this year. All right, NFC North report, man, at 9 a.m. We're a little bit tardy this morning because we have Dan Campbell on. But what's going on in Packers land? They unleashed a video yesterday. Do we have the video? Did you link it? Is it in there?
No, but there is a picture in there. So if you want to put the picture up, you can show everybody.
Let me see if I can find it. So why don't you get into Nathaniel Hackett first?
Okay, so we'll start with the Packers, and they hired someone this week, and it's someone that you would not think they would hire to be a defensive analyst, and that was Nathaniel Hackett. Now, Nathaniel Hackett went from being the offensive coordinator for Aaron Rodgers with the Packers and had great success. And then he went to the Denver Broncos as a head coach, only made it a few games, got fired, and ended up going to the New York Jets, where he was the offensive coordinator for Aaron Rodgers once again, because Aaron Rodgers wanted to build the team that he wanted with all the former players from the Packers. Well, now the Green Bay Packers have hired Nathaniel Hackett this week to be a defensive analyst, a much different position than he held last time he was in town. The 45-year-old was the team's offensive coordinator from 2019 to 2021 before leaving to take the Denver Broncos head coach job. He was fired after less than a season in a change with a 4-11 record. So it's very surprising that they would bring him back in such a different position, because he was an offensive guy and now he's coming back as a defensive analyst. What do you think they're trying to do with this, Riley?
Yeah, it reminds me, it's a little reminiscent of Matt Patricia going back to New England and Bill Belichick taking the supposed defensive genius guru, the best defensive play call in the history of NFL, and just throwing him on the go call the offensive side of the ball, man. Doesn't matter. I think it's just relationships, right? So clearly Hackett has some talent and some ability to coach, but failed miserably as a head coach. Pretty epic to fail that bad, that fast. So it just goes to show the value of relationships. Hey, man, come over here and we'll find a spot for you. So it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully it doesn't go too well.
All right, so I'm almost done here. My 2 cents on this is Robert Saleh. It's exactly what I'm seeing here. The difference is Robert Saleh is a defensive guru, and the Packers brought him in last season to kind of help him out in that situation. You know, taking a look at the offense. The one thing about an offensive coordinator is they have to know defenses pretty well, right? So he's probably sitting back, utilizing his offensive mind, and then articulating to the team, like, if I were the defense, this is what I would do, you know. That's or fair. if the defense is showing you this is what I would do, you know. This is either the plays that I would call. So it kind of makes sense. But I'm gonna throw a little twist into this. For the last 2 seasons, Matt LaFleur is asking for help. Is Matt LaFleur in over his head, asking for help? Right? I don't see Dan Campbell bringing in outside help.
Yep.
I don't see Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn asking for outside help, while with the Lions at least. I'm not saying that help is bad. Matter of fact, I think that the more minds you have on something, the better. I just think in this case, with Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst, I think kind of up against the clock in Green Bay. If this season goes terribly wrong, I think they're both gone. So I see this as a kind of a last-ditch effort the last 2 seasons to try to get as much help as they can so that the season doesn't go epically wrong. But let's take a look at this next topic and then welcome Art Vandelay into the Lions Faithful this morning. Appreciate you, buddy, for joining us. Do make sure you check out the members-only communications in the posts. There will be a link in there that you can join the Voxer Club. It's free to join. You just have to download the app, and you'll be able to join Voxer and communicate with all of the amazing moderators that are in, as part of the channel, and as well as everybody else that is a member that has joined the Voxer app. Let me just get you dialed up with somebody this morning. Let's do a Gibbs. We haven't done Gibbs in a minute.
They give it to Jameer. Big hole. There he goes down to the 20-yard line. Ankling to the 15. Gone, baby. 5. End zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 25 yards.
That was week 18 versus the Minnesota Vikings. All right, let's get in. Go ahead, Riley. I'm sorry.
You had a handful to choose from that game with the touchdowns. That's one of my favorite things. I said this way back just as a listener before I became part of the show and the channel. I love those, the quick end zone house calls. Real quick with Matt LaFleur, I'm sure you guys saw the press conference he was doing the other day, and all the phones went off. I think it was like an Amber Alert, so it's probably not something to make light of. But everybody in the room's phone went off, and he was pissed and he's like, "This is why I don't allow phones in here." My thought was that was the schedule release, and everyone just got informed. Hey, man, Detroit's coming week 1.
When was this? Well, I missed this.
Oh, this was just the other day. You know, now that everybody's doing press conferences and stuff, he had all the Green Bay media, and all of their phones went off simultaneously making the same alarm type of sound. And you just tell he didn't look happy. He's like, this is why I don't allow phones in here.
Yeah, but how does that tie back to the Lions are coming? Maybe I missed that part of it.
It's just me stretching and just.
Oh, I got you. I got you now. Okay. But
Yeah,
it was an Amber Alert or something.
Yeah, right. But in my, a simple mind, it was.
No, I got you. That was a different. It was a Gibbs alert, man. Gibbs is coming.
Yeah.
It was a Gibbs alert. Hopefully everyone's okay up there in Minnesota with the Amber Alert, man. That always tugs at your heart, man. But all right, let's get into this next one, man. The reveal. But let me just put the reveal up, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's just throw it up here and take a look at what the Green Bay Packers are trying to pull. I'm looking at this helmet right now, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Here we go. Green Bay Packers new uniform reveal.
Yeah, so they're trying to go back to the 1923 classic look. And in 1923, they had leather helmets.
This season, we return to our roots.
And apparently in 1923, they also wore a University of Michigan jersey.
Yeah.
Because look at that jersey.
You guys can hear the audio, right?
Yeah, doesn't that look like...
with one goal in mind.
That looks like a University of Michigan jersey.
It does. Let's rewind that one more time. Why did they make it so damn dark?
I don't know.
This season,
there's some nice lit up light photos in the article that I
torn
posted.
from the pages of time, derived from our legends of the past, engineered for our legends in the making.
Yeah, so each helmet is hand painted.
Designed to honor our history with one goal in mind.
All right, so here you go. I'm gonna kill the video. So here's what Eric was talking about. Wow, this window capture's way off. This is what Eric was talking about. So you can see this helmet and how it's striped to make it look like an old leather helmet. I love the idea.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's poorly executed. I mean, because it's the question I have is like, I think the Lions have some of the best alternate helmets out there that we've ever seen. I've been begging the NFL to hire whoever the Oregon Ducks uniform personnel is, because they've always had some of the best uniforms in the NCAA. I like the idea. I just don't understand. I don't know. I mean, how's it going to look on every helmet? Are they all wearing the same helmet? Because if you have guys wearing different helmets, it's going to look very awkward. You know what I'm saying? Like some guys are wearing a different style of helmet than others.
Yep.
I'm not talking about the face mask, and I couldn't even tell you the names of all the different helmets, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Here's the jersey. Exactly. It looks like a U of M jersey from back in the day.
Yep.
But that's more gold than maize. Or I'm sorry, it's maize and blue as U of M, so it looks more gold than it does maize. Pants look more gold.
The tan pants, I don't know what it is. The Steelers put out their new uniforms and they have tan pants, and now the Packers put out theirs and they have tan pants or gold pants, whatever it is. And
at least they got pants on.
Yeah, but to me, they could have went with something that's not tan, that has nothing to do with the colors that you're wearing. And then the Browns, they put out their new alternate helmet and uniform the other day, and it looks awesome. I love the Browns' new get up. It's a dark brown, flat brown helmet with an orange stripe, dark brown jersey with white lettering.
Who is
dark
this?
Pants, the Browns. And it looks amazing. Theirs looks great. But the Steelers' new one and the Packers' new one, I am not impressed whatsoever. The Steelers looks like a barcode on the front of their jersey. It's a yellow jersey with black stripes on the front under the numbers, and it looks like a barcode.
Wow.
So some of these new jerseys that are coming out, I am not impressed one bit. I would have wanted to be on the committee to say yes or no for a lot of these.
It's a quick no on that one. And you love the idea of a throwback, you know, pay homage to it. Like even the Lions over the years with the Thanksgiving ones, they're pretty simple, but I've liked those. If you're a Packer fan and you say, hey, man, we're getting a throwback this year, you start thinking, oh, man, what could it possibly be? Or maybe it's just, hey, we're having a new alternate uniform, and then that's what you get. I don't know, man.
So is this a throwback? Is that their throwback uniform, or is this like locked in as their new uniform?
Yeah, this is their alternate. They will wear it 3 times this year. This is the 1923 Classic, they call it.
Huh.
This is what they wore in 1923.
Well, you're talking about brown, the color brown, right?
Yeah.
You said with the Steelers, and who else brought out the color brown?
The color brown was with the Browns.
Cleveland.
Browns.
Well, I mean, that makes perfect sense, right? But
yes. And it's awesome. It's like a chocolate brown color, and it's flat brown. It's not shiny. Oh God, their new uniforms look incredible because everything matches. The uniform, the pants, the helmet, it all matches. So it's not this mishmash of 14 different colors like the Packers and the Steelers.
Well, I like the color brown a little bit, but especially when we're talking about vehicles. So I'm just going to throw this up on the screen. This is a vehicle that I really want to get. And this is where I think the color brown in today's, it's called Mud Bath. I really love this color. I love this vehicle here. So the new Toyota Sequoia.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
what I'm looking at, man. I want to get it all beefed up, but I love it. I love being able to have all the room. I love pickup truck. I'll pick them up truck, but at the same time, I was looking at getting a Lions truck last year. You ended up getting one, so I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do that now. I'll probably just get something different, and I almost want to go back to an SUV and then just get a regular truck for the RV. But
get the other color Lions truck. Get the silver, the blue, or the white.
Nah.
Yeah, they rock. They're awesome.
Quite honestly though, look, after riding in yours, and this is not any shade thrown at you.
Yep.
This is Ford. I didn't like the ride. I thought that it was way too bumpy.
Really?
For a $100,000 truck.
Yeah.
It should have way better suspension. And I don't know if there was upgrades that they offered, but I felt it was just, and I know we were going through parking lots that were just loaded with holes in the ground, but I thought it was pretty bumpy, but other than that, it's a beautiful truck, right? I mean, I love it. I just love the details of some of these newer vehicles out there that, like the leather, it's so plush. I love the feel of it. But anyway, we'll get back to football here. We can talk about vehicles all day.
Yep.
All right, so NFC North report. We've covered the Packers. They have some new throwback uniforms and helmets. Nathaniel Hackett hired to be a defensive analyst this year. And more struggles for Caleb Williams. What's going on here?
Yeah. So the latest news from Bears camp. Their second round pick, wide receiver Burden, still is not practicing. And they had a sloppy start to the first team offense during 11-on-11 period, including a pre-snap penalty, a fumbled snap, and issues getting out of the huddle, and a moment when Caleb Williams fell down after evading pressure.
Was this yesterday?
Yeah, this is
is after the first day of Ben Johnson stopping everything and pulling him out?
Yes. And it sounds like the Bears have had a very, very sloppy start to training camp with their offense. Caleb Williams is struggling. And I think it was Kevin Cowherd went to
Colin,
Bears
yeah.
camp. Yeah, he went to Bears camp and watched the first 2 days, and he's like, this is a disaster. This team is going to be horrible. He's like, you were going to see by October that Caleb Williams is not the quarterback everybody thinks he is.
No, I said it from day one. I had no trust, no faith in Caleb. And Riley, you didn't either. I don't believe. Is anyone surprised? I mean, Riley, are you surprised at what's going on in Chicago?
Well, actually, yeah. Because I saw him play live, I feel like I'm the noted Caleb Williams believer on this panel here. But don't get me wrong, if he fails, that's good for the Lions. I just know that the dude's got talent, but I don't know where he's at between the ears. I'm not, insulting his intelligence, but it just doesn't seem like the leadership is there. And I'm not really surprised to see this. And it is weird to go see, from Ben Johnson having success almost every week with the Lions. And then, I don't want to make judgments this soon in preseason, but usually where there's smoke, there's fire.
Oh, yeah.
And this is, you can see it. You can see that it could fail.
They talk about the Lions having a new offensive and defensive coordinator. The Bears have new everything, new head coach,
good point,
all new coaches, everybody on the team. And then you have a second-year player in Caleb Williams. He's having to learn everything again. So what's the one thing you want when you start training camp? The one thing you want your quarterback to come in and have control, and you want him to be the one person that knows what to do in that offense. If your offensive linemen are jumping off sides, they don't have the cadence down, that's one thing. But when your quarterback comes in and he's fumbling the ball and he's falling down, getting sacked, throwing interceptions on the very first pass, that's not how you want to start camp.
Not lining up right.
You want that guy to have control of the offense and be the leader of the pack. Yeah. And he's not doing that so far.
You want to be a coach on the field.
Yeah, you need an extension. He needs to be an extension of the coach, right? And so I mean that's something that I want to highlight here about Jared Goff. So had Jared Goff come into Detroit and done exactly these things that Caleb Williams is doing in his first season, and I'm not saying that everything has been perfect, for Jared Goff, especially, but I couldn't even remember in 2021 any sort of a story like this coming out. Jared is a consummate pro. I mean, he's going to study. He's going to know everything, more so than the coach probably, right? He needs to know it all so he can communicate it to everybody that's struggling, especially in the huddle. Look, wide receivers are going to look at you sideways when you run off this, 200-word play, and they're looking, huh? And he's just said, look, just run a post, right? And you just run a slant in at 5. You run a curl route. He can break it down that quickly. You can say all these words, right? But these are the 3 signals that you need to know. Caleb's not doing that. It's been said for many years that Caleb is just not prepared. I think this proves it. And now you have Ben Johnson, who, let's just be honest, does anyone honestly think that Ben Johnson is going in and dumbing this thing down for anybody? Or is he going to treat Caleb Williams like he was treating Jared Goff? 2 totally different quarterbacks. Cerebral-wise, at least, I think that Jared Goff is he's far and away better than most quarterbacks in the league. But I think that Ben Johnson, being a new head coach, probably is not taking a step back with Caleb. And he's probably feeding him a fire hose of stuff, like Dan said the other day. He's just drinking from a fire hose. He's not getting it, but Ben's probably not going to understand it to wind that back. He's just going to let him continue to fall flat on his face. Now, there's 2 ways to go about it. You got to fall and continue to fall and fail so that you can get up someday, right? And then maybe have success. But Caleb fell hard last year, had a very rough rookie season, got the crap kicked out of him. I think 68 sacks. And now he has new everything, and he's not able to get it again. Early in camp, when things should be a lot easier, it's not. They don't even have pads on yet, right? These things shouldn't be happening.
No, this should be Caleb Williams should have shown up, and it's easy to criticize somebody else, but just looking at the picture, yeah, you're playing football. Like this should have been. He should have everybody on that team feeling like, damn it. Have you known Ben Johnson for 10 years?
Exactly. It should be so comfortable, it's uncomfortable.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just too smooth.
Yeah. Then everybody on the offense knows, like, oh, I don't have room to mess up.
That's what Jared Goff provided. Jared Goff provided security. I know that there was a lot said about Anthony Lynn and the relationship there with Jared Goff and things not going well. that was a culmination of, like I said the other day, new system, new team, no players, literally no players. You had a fifth round wide receiver. That was it by like week 8. Everyone was injured before week 1. He didn't have anybody, right? He had Jamal Williams toting the rock, I think, in that first year, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. But that wasn't enough. And Jared Goff needed to be that calm presence in the huddle to at least elicit some semblance of an offense. And I think he still did a good job. Yeah, we didn't win any games for a while. And he missed a few games that year. He missed 3 games. But the next year, I mean, you saw what was an 0-6 start to 2022, quickly turned around after that first win. And they never looked back. They never blinked again. That's where Caleb needs to be. So here's what I'm going to say about Caleb. And I'm going to end my little spiel on this. By week, let's put both Jared and Caleb in the same situation. I'm going to give Caleb to a week 7. That's it. By week 7, if he is not looking like a brand new quarterback and if they're not winning football games and he just doesn't look like he has anything under control, he's done. He's cooked. It's over. And Ben Johnson's going to look like a fool. And the only way that Ben Johnson survives that is if he gets rid of Caleb somehow, which they won't do because the Bears do Bears things and Ryan Poles brought him in. I think that it was a mistake for Ben to go to a team where he couldn't select his quarterback. He had a lot of good feeling about Caleb Williams, but he wasn't able to select his quarterback. If it fails epically this year, and the Packers are picking again in the top 5, even the top 10, they're drafting another quarterback. You heard it here first. Clip it. All right, we need anything you guys want to say on that? Should I bring in the NFL Networks thing?
Absolutely, but I wrote that down because as soon as you started, I'm like, about 3 words in, I'm like, oh, let me jot this down because I'm going to clip that later. Caleb gets until week 7. Love it.
So I'm probably going to have to edit this out later, but let's just watch it for the hell of it. Let's just see what Greeny is saying about Caleb Williams. Now I'm not going to bring in Colin Cowherd. I'm going to do that in a video presence or format later. Let's just bring it in. Make sure we have audio. For some reason, like, audio has been falling apart. Like, I don't even see it listed in here. Here it is. What in the world? And it was off, so I'm glad I checked. All right, here you go. Greeny on Caleb Williams.
Smart players have a way of making less more. McCourty always says, see a little, see a lot. And so for Caleb Williams, it's daunting to young players because there's so much information being thrown at you so fast. But the best coaches simplify it, right, to Nick's point, to say, I'm going to give you a little piece of nugget that you don't need to see everything. If this happens, the rest of these things are already true. I'll give you an example. I'm a slot receiver, and I would always be looking to see if the middle of the field was open, meaning is there 2 safeties or is there a single high safety? Cover 3, cover 1, cover 2, cover 4. And I'm trying to wait for them to get lined up in X, Y, and Z until a coach taught me, hey, if the guy guarding you is in the inside, he's inside of you because he's protecting that piece of the field, which means there's 2 safeties there. If the guy guarding you in the slot is on the outside, he is leaving you in there because he must have help, which means it's a single safety. So it taught me I don't need to see the whole picture. I can get
Don't
this
give me
and
the
now
stick.
and I,
Hands
then I get one of them.
Don't worry.
And
I got you here.
So
Past you.
So for
I got
Caleb
him.
Williams and Ben Johnson, his teaching in that process and how quickly he can get him to a point to say, okay, here's the little nuggets that you key on that'll give you answers to the test.
I enjoyed that little.
That was not the right video, but anyway, I'll do it later. You'll see it pop out later. I'll highlight it. So that was not the right video. That's not the one that I listened to earlier. My bad.
Still good information in that. As we're watching that, I was reminded. One time, this must have been like 10 years ago, Sunday morning, getting ready for the games, and I just randomly tweeted Dan Orlovsky a question. I asked him, I said, Dan, what percentage of NFL quarterbacks on any given snap, if they're in the game, know every single assignment of all 10 of their teammates on that snap. And I had to see if I can go find it, but he said that the majority, like 80% of them. So I thought, man, it'd suck to be one of those 20%ers to know, because just like you were saying with Caleb earlier, you rattle off this word salad, this long ass play call, and then it's one of your receivers, hey man, what do I run? And if you don't know, you're in trouble, man. It's a lot of responsibility. Obviously, I'm speaking the obvious there with the quarterback, but yeah, and then he's saying, "Oh, I got to spend 30 minutes a day, dude. At bare minimum, this is your job, man. You make a lot of. I'd be devouring film all the time. I'd show up to camp and I know every answer to every question on what everybody needs to do.
It's just like doing this, like there's a difference between, we have our good days and our bad days on this show, right? And I don't know if anyone can ever tell in the audience if we're having a bad day. I'm sure that you could, but there's days that we're exhausted, right? There's days that, there's not a whole lot going on. But the difference with I think what good podcasts do, which again, if we had a whole team, I think that we would be leveled way up by now. Good podcasts can devour a bunch of information, have that information ready. They do the research. They don't just put a topic out and then talk about it on the fly. I mean, some people do, and you can get away with it. I've done it. I've done entire shows in 15 minutes of work before a show and talk for 2 hours. It just so happened I knew what I was talking about. But you can't just do that with new information, right? This is new information for Caleb. So if we put a bunch of stuff on a sheet, but we don't go and open the article before the show, read it, get educated about it, maybe try to find some more information about that topic to add to it, then we're not going to do it any justice. It doesn't help us just to puke whatever everyone else is saying, right? Caleb, he needs to invest all of his free time into studying the playbook. He needs to invest all of his free time with his teammates that are willing to get on a Zoom call or come on over to the house, camp out during the entire training camp at my house. When we're done, we'll have everything set up. We'll cater all the food. Everything will be taken care of. All you got to do is show up and we study. That's what I would be doing. Like if I could rewind and go back 30 years, and if I can see myself playing football, knowing the size that I got to now and where I was in my heyday, yeah, I could have played ball. But I wasn't in that mindset at 15 years old. Right now, given the situation of where today is in the NFL and the technology that's here, things would have been way different, I think, for me. And it's not an excuse. It's a reality. If I was Caleb Williams, I would be overly invested. But sometimes it makes me wonder, does the money just kind of make these guys not care because they're paid like for the rest of their life? It's the guys that have it that want to be the best. You know what I'm saying? They want to be the best, that they're going to go out there and do everything that they can to get better.
I have some advice for Caleb Williams.
Uh-oh.
And this is it. Okay. Go watch Quarterback Season 2 and watch Jared Goff and his wife sitting at the kitchen table, and she's naming plays and he's naming the 4 plays the 4 audibles that he can call off of that play. And that is what Caleb Williams needs to do, because every single play that he has 4 different plays that he can go out of that play. He can call out of that play and go into 4 different ones, depending on what the defense is showing them. Right. And that's what Ben Johnson is going to expect out of Caleb Williams. So Caleb Williams, you need to get yourself a girlfriend and have her go over plays with you and learn all the names of these plays, because you're going to have a ton of them.
If from everything we are hearing out of Minnesota, JJ McCarthy is the exact opposite. He's a lot more like Jared Goff.
Yep.
And and he maybe he'll be the stud quarterback from that class, but I just know if we put McCarthy's personality and seemingly insatiable appetite for success and excellence into Caleb Williams, man, it'd be a problem. It's already going to be a super tough NFC North, but every time we do one of these shows, man, I'm thinking, I'm just glad we've got, what'd you say, Will, yesterday? I'm glad 1-6 is my quarterback, Goff is a penultimate professional.
I didn't hear the last part. 1-6 is by quarterback. What?
I said Goff's just the penultimate professional. I mean, he knew coming to Detroit that first year they were going to suck. He knew it was going to be a long process, but that just makes it more rewarding, right? And you just made a comment too about does the money change? Jared Goff, to me, when he gets that boost in his money next year, I don't expect him to be any different. I think Jared Goff's a guy that no matter what his contract is, he's approaching the game the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Consummate professional, man. Consummate professional. JG is going to handle it. No matter what needs to be handled, he's going to handle it. And if he doesn't handle it, he's going to eat it. It's that simple. He's going to eat it. I'm scanning the old Twitterverse here to see if there's anything popping out right now. I just saw a video of JJ McCarthy and this person says JJ McCarthy is unreal. And you see JJ running out to the sideline, no pressure. Nobody's running after him. And he just lobs a pass into the end zone for a touchdown. Look, there's zero pressure in the guy's face. But to say the guy's a superstar in a non, padded practice, which actually these guys have pads on. So I don't know how the Vikings are getting away with this. This is the second time we brought it up. They have full pads on.
Cowboys did the same thing. They had pads on yesterday.
The NFLPA rules strictly prohibit pads in practice. For the first 5 days, you have your acclimation period.
Yep.
No spiders, nothing. So I don't get it. I don't understand it. But we've seen where the Lions went 4-0 in preseason. What did that turn into?
Winless season.
Exactly. 0-16. All right, what's going on with the Vikings?
So US Bank Stadium is guaranteeing that Minneapolis will have a white Christmas this year. And what do I mean by that? Well, the Minnesota Vikings are going to be wearing their Winter Warrior uniforms, and they have announced it that on Christmas Day, on the middle game of the 3-game slate on Netflix, that the Minnesota Vikings are having a whiteout for Christmas. So it's going to be called the Winter Whiteout. They will be wearing their all-white uniforms with their white helmet and white pants. So the Detroit Lions are probably going to have blueberries or black uniforms on at the Winter Warrior game on Christmas Day at US Bank Stadium.
Sorry, I just watched Caleb Williams throw an interception.
That's always fun.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, man. White Christmas, and they're saying that because of the white Christmas, what now?
So they're going to wear their all white uniforms with their white helmets, their Winter Warrior outfits.
Yeah.
For Christmas Day game against Detroit. So it's not an away game for them, which is kind of weird. So they're going to wear them at home. So they're going to want everyone to wear white in the stands. I don't know how many people are going to be in the stands because it's Christmas Day, but I'm guessing tickets for that game are the cheapest game of the season for the Vikings.
You think so? I think it'll be the most expensive, and I'm sure it'll be packed. Oh yeah, it's the Lions, dude. It's not. It's after what went down in Week 18. That game is going to be sold out early, and it'll be super expensive.
I'm not going.
Well, I'm not going either, but or maybe I will. I don't know. I'm undecided.
I don't know. Knowing you guys, I won't be surprised one bit if you guys are, hey, we're on our way to Minnesota. Maybe we're doing a show in Minnesota that morning. But here's what I'll say. This is all white with me, man. I got no problem with it. The question is, are the Lions going to be in the blue? Are they going to be in the black? And it just is a damn shame that we're going to have to send a lot of people home on Christmas Day, really heartbroken and really sad because the Lions just go into Minnesota again and beat the Vikings again in that stadium is beautiful. So they're going to have some sweet jerseys and a sweet stadium, but man, do something different. Not that day, not against the Lions.
Hey, quick update here on the Christian Wilkins story. So again, I'm sure we're going to see a bunch of videos popping out. I'm going to do one about the exact opposite. But there's an update here about Wilkins that I missed last night. The fracture apparently is suspected to have non-union or refracture. So he's not healing. And with the fracture occurring in October of 2024, and still 9 months later, there's still a problem. That means that it either needs another surgery, which is also not guaranteed to work, kind of like what happened with my back. So I have a failed back surgery. My back didn't fuse at first, and the screws were all loose, so it caused me a ton of pain. Still does today because it healed kind of funny. So I'm more stiff. Like I look like I'm carrying an extra 20 pounds in front of me, and it's literally because my back is pushed forward in the lumbar. It's pushing my belly out. It kind of sucks because I can't lay flat. But anyway, saying here that if he finally gets surgery, likely out for multiple more months, so this season is going to be lost anyway. If somehow he does make it back this season, he might not even be the same player athletically. So expect Wilkins to be out this year. Do not expect him to be helping the Lions at all, or even be a fit or an opportunity for the Lions. We'll just put the fires out right now. It's 9:39. We still have Lion stuff to get to. And let me go to the panel questions first. Sure. And if you wouldn't mind, yeah, Brent, I got you now. I don't think his career is over with Wilkins, but I think that it's going to be another year. Again, does money change your mentality, right? If you've got all this money in the bank, are you even willing to put forth the effort? And after missing 2 seasons, it's really hard to come back. Riley, if you wouldn't mind paying attention to the chat for us and see if anybody has any good comments, especially when we go through these panel questions. So I just had 3 questions today to kind of end the week. And we'll get into a few more things here, but one, what are your unresolved questions for the Lions this season? And I guess what I'm asking is, do you still feel like the Lions are missing something? Camp has just started. We're a week in. You know, today will be, the 5th practice or the fourth practice? 5th practice today, I believe. What we've seen already, what we've heard already, pads come on today, so we're going to get even a better understanding of where this team is. When we get to camp, we're going to have a great understanding of where this team is. So I have unresolved questions because I haven't seen it in person. But the question is, are there things that you still feel the Lions are lacking or missing that are not related to camp, not related to the training aspect, that this franchise has not addressed leading into the 2025 season?
Yes, Alex Anzalone, the whole situation. Let's put a timetable on it. Let's get it over with. Let's get it done with. I am tired of being in limbo with the whole Alex Anzalone situation. Has nothing to do with what people are doing on the field. Has everything to do with money and egos, in my opinion. It's time to get this over with. Let's go. Let's get it over with.
I'm right there with you, Eric, not to steal your answer, but I just know if I would have told you guys in February, Ragnow's gone, Anzalone's not going to be, suiting up these first few, you'd start to say, okay, like, come on, we can't have so many of these blows. Zeitler's gone. We knew both coordinators were leaving. We're treading new water for this franchise to have so many good players that this is now a problem. A reliable player, a starter, somebody that was part of the culture being built, having a dispute and a contract issue. Sometimes it's fitting a square peg in a round hole. And I like I said at the start of the show, I think your time frame is great, Eric. Let's get him in hopefully by this weekend.
I'm on record saying that I'm extremely excited about this season because of the way that Brad and Dan attacked the offseason and bringing in largely the same team from last year, some new faces through the draft. And I really don't have a lot of questions with how the personnel is being put together in the positional groups. I think they addressed a big thing, right away with Kirby Joseph. I really thought I was probably more than 60% that Kirby wouldn't be back this year, or there could have been a holdout situation, but that the Lions weren't going to get that done simply because of who they have to pay in the coming years. So my biggest unresolved question with the Lions is, how are they going to get it all done? That's my biggest question. There's a lot of players that we don't want to lose, right? There's a lot of players that are very meaningful for this team. And given the situation with Alex Anzalone, which is a good highlight, and I think it kind of gives you a different view of the picture here, that there are money issues, even for simple things like this, in a contract that is low comparatively to what the other contracts are going to be in the coming seasons. That simple contract with Alex Anzalone would interrupt what Brad's plans are for the future. The other side of this would be, my question is about Brad. I think he does a phenomenal job. I do. But is there any urgency? Does he have any urgency to try to get some things done, if you believe in a Super Bowl window or not? Is there enough urgency underneath him? Is there a big enough fire underneath him to ensure or over-ensure that you are prepared for the season? I think every year that we walk into camp, I think we feel good. But then when we get out of camp or there's injuries in the first few weeks, we're kind of like, oh, what in the world is going to happen next? And why aren't we bringing anybody in? Brad believes in the depth chart. So I've got the same questions as a lot of people do, but I think that it's the depth chart, and that's the answer. Second question. If you could, speaking of positional groups, if you could upgrade one position today, not just one player, but one position, what would it be and why?
A veteran backup that plays every position on the offensive line, because I think that we may need some depth this year at all the positions on the offensive line. Someone that can go everywhere. Because right now it sounds like it's Corby Sorsdahl that is playing that position. And he's one of those players that can do all of the different positions, but he can't do any of them very well. I would rather have a quality veteran backup that can do that, can play every position on the line and do it a little better than Corby Sorsdahl.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, you're when I saw that question, I'm like, it's either one of the lines. I feel pretty good about the defensive depth just by account of all of the players that are coming back. And I'm with you. I mean, Graham Glasgow wasn't particularly good last year, and the Lions need him to be as best. I mean, as you said it a few weeks ago, Will, the pillars of this offensive line, they need all three of these guys to play the best football of their life. What are the chances that they get that from all three? So I think insurance on the offensive line would be good, but I don't know where you would get that, but that's where it would go. The team's well built. There's no weakness outside of that in my mind.
Just dropped a reply in there to Brent and Kevin in the chat talking about give me Hassanin over Pascal, especially in a NASCAR package, which I don't think we run a NASCAR package very often. Brent's comment was that Pascal doesn't get sacks, but Hassanin will. We don't know what Hassanin is yet, but I kind of used Alex Anzalone's statement, like just ask Dan and Brad. Pascal is a run stuffer. He's not meant to get sacks, and I think that's the difference with Marcus Davenport too. So if I were to upgrade a position right now, I guess when I look at the entire roster, I think that we're pretty solid top to bottom. But honestly, if I were to upgrade a position, I'm having a little bit of heartburn right now with our backup quarterback. I feel like there's been some options out there that the Lions could have pulled the trigger on in the draft, right? I think that when you look at Jared Goff's balloon of a contract and kind of where this team is heading, if Jared Goff goes down, is Hendon Hooker going to win us any games? I'm concerned about that. And I'm concerned about that because last year when we brought in Teddy Bridgewater in the playoffs, was that the year before? No, it was last year, wasn't it? It was last year. When we brought him in the playoffs, it was because of experience. quite simply was experience. They wanted the guy that's been there, done it. They didn't trust Hendon Hooker at that time. And so he has a lot to prove this year. I wanted him on the team, right? I was all for it. I picked the pick way before the draft. But is he progressing fast enough? That is probably the only position. So it's not even a starting position right now. It's a backup. And I think the quarterback position is critical to this team because if Jared Goff has to miss a few games for whatever reason, which I hope he doesn't, that could be the difference of us winning the division and making the playoffs or not, especially if Jared Goff can come back. But again, Jared won't be injured this year anyway. So maybe it's all water under the bridge. Third question I had, which actually was given to us by Michael Garrity last night. Trainers being an issue is the question. Are the Lions trainers, the rehab staff, the doctors, right? Are they at fault for all of these injuries? And I guess I want your thoughts on the subject. You know, through camp so far, we've had some ticky-tacky stuff. We've also had some ACLs with Levi Onwuzurike and Ali McNeil. Who else? Who else had an ACL recently? I think that's it. But I guess that's the question. Do you think that the training staff is at fault for any of the injuries?
No, I don't think it's the training staff. And you can go back year after year after year of being a Lions fan and all the injuries and how Lions fans, for the longest time, we always blamed the field. So what did Sheila went out and got us a brand new field 2 years earlier than she was supposed to get us a new field at Ford Field because people were getting injured. They were tearing ACLs at the games. So she's like, that's it. I'll put in a new field. And I don't think these trainers can stop a broken leg, a torn ACL, a calf, someone stepping on your foot in practice like Roy Lopez, Derek Barnes hurting his finger, getting his finger jammed. I just don't think you can stop that stuff. If you've ever played football, you're going to get hurt. And there's going to be a lot of minor injuries that no one knows about. Just you know about it. And a lot of stuff that's not reported. So to me, this has nothing to do with the trainers. This just has everything to do with football itself.
Yeah, you think of Aiden Hutchinson coming around the edge to sack Dak Prescott and just the momentum of his leg swing. I mean, that thing snapped. There was no stopping it. Ali McNeil tearing his ACL against, I think it was Buffalo, right? And all of the injuries there. Who was the defensive back that had the craziest, nasty injury in the end zone? I think it was where, it's just injury after injury after injury. When things go wrong, you want to assign responsibility to someone. I just don't know if you swap out the training staff that all of a sudden the Lions have 0 or 1 or only 2 injuries. There's going to be a handful. It's going to happen. The Lions are going to lose some games this year. It's going to happen. And when it does, sometimes you just bleep happens, and it's, I don't think that the Lions have a bad training staff. And I don't think that these guys are, get somebody out. I don't think that that's a solution.
I gave my answer last night, and matter of fact, it's kind of right in line with what both of you just said. So I agree that, and Michael, it's not to pick on you. It's just, that was a great question. I'm right there with you guys. I think that there's some things that you can't stop. You can't prevent. So we got about 7 minutes left before Eric, I believe you got to jump off right at 10 today, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So I want to walk into Marcus Davenport. I've got some audio dialed up. I just put the poll question up. Are you confident in Marcus Davenport? Let's say he stays healthy for the entire season. Are you confident that he can produce under that assumption? Let's hear what Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, and Aiden Hutchinson had to say about Marcus Davenport. And again, I did a video on this. I'd love for you guys to watch it and hear what I said in the video, which we recorded last night live. Here we go.
How does it feel. We had him on earlier in the show to look out there and see 97, Aiden Hutchinson running around playing football again after losing him for much of last season with an injury.
Well, that in itself feels really good. You talk about a sight for sore eyes. And then just when you think you can't feel any better, you see Davenport on the other side. You know, and I know it's only 3 days, but boy, he looks good too. But to be able to get Hutch back, he looks confident. He looks healthy. He actually looks like he's been even better than last year. And so, and I know he's hungry. You know, he's going to be hungry all the time.
Sure.
But, you know, you get a different perspective when the game is taken away from you for injury for a year. And, you know, if you thought you had drive before, it really puts the drive in you. So that's where Hutch is at. He's a pro. He's ready to go.
And we asked Hutch about it, and you just brought up his name as Marcus Davenport. You know, and I was joking with Brad Holmes earlier. The talk is, oh, edge rusher. They need edge rusher. Maybe he's here. Maybe it is Marcus Davenport. Maybe it is other guys stepping up too, but a little bit on Davenport because this guy was a high draft pick for a reason. You know, this guy's been around the league, and here he is on your team, and maybe he's a name that nobody's talking about enough.
Yeah, no doubt. And, you know, I've known Davenport a while now. You know, we got him in New Orleans. Yep. We drafted him. And here's what I do know, and I think we all know this. You know, and it's not always in your hands, and that's just, listen, that's the name of the game, and that's circumstances. That's the way it goes. But if he does stay healthy, oh, yeah, he can do it. There's no question. He's going to give us everything we're looking for and then some on the other side of Hutch. So what I know is he's put everything into coming back, being stronger, being more stable, do everything he can to reduce that risk of injury. You know, look, and injuries happen all the time, but if it does, it does. But I love where he's at. We're fired up. I think our defense looks really good. There again, we're not in pads, but I like where we're at day 3.
Okay, so like very simply here, Dan Campbell says he loves what they're doing day 3 and Marcus Davenport looks good. I'm just going to dive right into the next set of audio because we're up against the clock.
You can't just find edge rushers out there, and the market has increased about $5 million thanks to Myles Garrett.
Yes.
And
yes.
But you've got this Marcus Davenport, who's he was a high draft pick. This kid is a young player on the come, and maybe touch on him a little bit.
Yeah, no, Marcus.
And Aiden's health.
Yeah,
update.
and you know Marcus actually, because I thought the whole thing is, well, who's on the other side of Aiden? Who's on the other side? Marcus is the perfect person to have on the other side of Aiden in terms of his ability, how he plays the game, his length, how he can push the pocket. He's a good athlete. He's powerful. He's stout. All those makings. He has that. He just has luck on the health front. So, you know, hopefully that better luck is on his side, but he looked great in OTAs. He's looked great out here. And then having Aiden back, which I didn't really, you don't have a crystal ball. You don't know for sure, but I just, as much as I've been following Aiden since his early days at Michigan, you know, he suffered a major injury then, came back, let's say even better player. You know, you could argue. I'm not surprised of how he attacked his rehab, and he looks amazing right now. So it looks good so far.
When you look at that group, Brad, you were up there in terms of pressures last year.
Yep.
Is there a next step in terms of getting that quarterback on the ground more often? Is that an important thing for your team?
Yeah, it's important. I mean, obviously you want to just finish and get home and get the sack, but you know, pressures, you know, I'm not going to say that they're equally as important, but it's pretty darn close just because when you're affecting the pocket and you're making it muddled and chaotic and uncomfortable, you can have obviously you could argue that you could have more turnovers just from more of a chaotic, disrupted, you know, condensed pocket versus just getting a sack. But obviously you want guys that can finish, get home and get sacks, but you know, the pressure served us well.
And you can get turned.
So Eric, you're up against the clock. The other one is about 2 minutes long. I don't want to keep you past 10. Do you want to give us your final of the day on Davenport based on what you're hearing so far with Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes?
Yeah, and I listened to Davenport himself talk the other day, and he just wants to be left alone. He's like, just let me do my thing. And some reporters took it the wrong way. This guy, just like every other guy in the NFL, they hear what's going on in the media. They hear all the bad stories. They hear all the fans clamoring for someone else. Let's get an edge. Let's get an edge. Let's get an edge. They wanted us to draft one. They wanted us to get one in free agency. He hears it all. You know, he hears it. But you want to know what? This guy is a former number 9 overall first round draft pick. He was that for a reason. And things just have not worked out with him in the NFL so far through 5 or 6 seasons because of injury. And I think he has it between the ears, and I think he has it physically to put in an amazing season. Now, I'm not saying that Hutch won't win comeback player of the year, but somebody told me that Marcus Davenport is plus 40,000 to win comeback player of the year this year.
Oh, you better believe I'm making a bet.
I might just have to put $10 or $20 on good old Marcus Davenport to win comeback player of the year, because that's amazing. And I think he has an amazing story. And what a redemption story it would be. Let's say if he has a Pro Bowl season, let's say he is voted to the Pro Bowl this year. Let's say he has that kind of a season. What an amazing turnaround that would be, in a redemption story. And then he can say, ha, 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 nana, nana, boo, boo, to all these people that just said nothing but bad things about him over and over and over again. Just imagine being Marcus Davenport. You're this guy that, you know, you came into the league with all this hype and you were going to do all these great things, and you have one good season and then you get injured. And things just don't quite roll for you. And you get on a new team that's got aspirations to go to a Super Bowl, and you get injured again. But you know what he didn't do? When he got injured for the Lions in week 3 against the Arizona Cardinals, he didn't go somewhere else to rehab. He stayed with the Lions. He went to every game. He was on the sidelines. He was still around his teammates, and he rehabbed in Detroit. And I think this year is going to be a giant redemption story for Marcus Davenport. And I kind of like that he said, just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. I'm not the guy you think I am. And I think that's kind of what he was saying, not that he's not the guy that needs to be on the other side of Aiden, like all these reporters thought he was going to be.
Yeah, so I guess to wrap it up in a bow, your thought is he stays healthy, he's going to be just fine.
Exactly. I think he may be comeback player of the year.
He could be. I think Aiden will win it first just because of, of Aiden.
Yes.
But anyway, I'm going to finish out this. Give me your final 15 of the day, and then Riley, do you got to bounce too?
Sure, I'll go after Eric.
Okay.
Yeah. So my last 15 seconds of the day is this.
And I do have one more. I do have one more segment on Marcus, by the way, on Davenport with Aiden Hutchinson's audio, but these guys got to run, and I'll play it after they're done.
Sure. I think Davenport's going to be awesome. I don't think we have anything to worry about. Injuries are injuries. They're going to happen if they happen. They're not going to happen if they don't happen. And thankfully, I think we're getting rid of all these little ticky-tacky injuries. We're getting those out of the way right now. So when we get to the season, we won't have them. Let's just all pray for a healthy season for the Detroit Lions so we can make it to the Super Bowl.
All right. Have a good day, man. Enjoy the weekend. Sure, we'll talk soon.
We'll see you, Eric.
All right, Riley, you're up next, man. I know you gotta run too. So what is your thoughts here on Marcus Davenport?
Yeah, well, I see the conversation you're having here with Full Slate Farms, and you look, everybody's entitled to their opinion and their feeling, and like he says, hey, I hope he plays 17 games. Here's the thing I love. The speculation phase of all of this is just about through, because these guys take the field here soon. We're going to get answers to these questions. I think we all want the Lions to win, and it means a lot to us all. And this is the fun part of this, this whole football fandom thing that we do is we get to see the games played. So, again, guys, ask every day, leave comments. If you're listening to this after the show, the recorded version of it, if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, something you like, you don't like, whatever it is, timestamp it. Let us know. And everybody go have a hell of a weekend. The last weekend without Lions football until whenever the Super Bowl is, February.
Yeah, so after the end of February, because we'll be enjoying our parade.
Oh yeah.
So all right, man, you have a good weekend.
You too, Will. Thanks.
Yeah, buddy. Take care. All right, so I'm going to play this last segment because this is the one that I feel is the most damning to all of the haters. Like I said in my video, I hope that Marcus Davenport pisses in the face of all the haters, man, and all of the people that have just trashed him for no reason. And let me throw this at you, okay? I know a lot of you are U of M fans. A lot of you are big-time Hutchinson fans. I'm a fan of Aiden too for the Detroit Lions. I'll leave it as that. But Aiden had a major leg injury in college, right? He broke his other leg, came back, had the best season in his final season at the U of M, right? Starts off with the Detroit Lions, stays healthy, and then has another major injury in his third season. He's battled back, and according to all reports so far, he's looking great, if not better, than where he was last year. Why can't Marcus Davenport be treated the same way? That's my biggest question. That should have been one of my questions of the panel today. Why can't Marcus Davenport be given the same, the same value, if you will, of his hard work, his dedication? Something that Eric said should stick out to everybody. He never left after getting injured. He stayed in Allen Park and did his rehab. He was here all offseason. What does that mean? That means he worked with all of the trainers. And so all of the work that he did, you know how they say the mice will play when the boss is away? You know, people shine their brightest when no one's looking at you. What are you doing when no one's watching? Unfortunately, for some players, when no one's watching, they're not doing the right thing. They're not putting in all the rehab work. They're saying they are. They're talking a good game, but they don't ever perform right in some cases. It doesn't come to light. Marcus stayed in the light. He stayed in front of people's eyes. He wanted to prove to everybody that this matters to me. I want to get it right. How can I get it right? So he stayed in town to work on every part of his body to make sure that he could get tough enough and healthy enough for this redemption season, this season of reckoning, if you will, for Marcus Davenport. Let's listen to what Aiden Hutchinson had to say. All right, here we go.
Well, it's been a long road of rehab, and I remember reading a story back in the OTAs where Coach Shepard said, every player has their mannerisms, things that they do in practice, and Shepard said, well, that's when I kind of knew he was back. He was having the same type of mannerisms. What about for you personally, when you cross that bridge as a player, where you're like, oh yeah, I feel good, I'm confident, I'm where I need to be?
Yeah, day one of OTAs, I got stepped on, kicked. You think everything under the sun. And the day after I was pretty sore, but it was going through that day and getting it was the most freak things too you could think of that were it was weird. But I really do believe that it was that day happening. You're like, I'm good. Sometimes you need those moments where, you're coming back from an injury and things get hit and then you get up and you're like, oh, I'm all right now. And it's a psychological thing, So I think OTAs was a big thing with that psychologically. And now that we're in camp, it's we're full steam ahead.
Well, I know it killed you to be out last year, and everybody towards the end of the year, pass rush. Right. Detroit needs more pass rush. Here, the offseason, we're interviewing your general manager. Everybody's talking about pass rush. You may have some guys here. And one guy may be Marcus Davenport. Right. Maybe a little bit on him. Could be playing opposite you this year. And just tell us about that room. That room is so
great.
critical.
Once we get Aleem healthy and him back, fortunately Levi's going to be out. But once we get Aleem back, Tyleek's coming along. Ahmed's coming along. But having Marcus on the other side of me is really. When we were playing those first 3 games last year together, or 4 games, whatever it was before he got hurt. It was when I saw him on the other side of me, I had this confidence that, when you see another rush over there, hey, if I'm not getting there, this rep, he is, and I think just watching him in camp, like he's such a great athlete, such a great football player, and I'm gonna try to give him as many holistic approaches as I can to keep him healthy this year, and we're praying for longevity in the D-line room, and it's gonna be a fun year.
Hey, look, you don't have to trust me at all, right? I think I bring some value to the Lions faithful and giving you guys good information, some good positive takes. But you know me as being very analytical and critical when I need to be. I'm very critical of every player from a positive sense, right? I try to dig in and find out who these people are, what they're all about, and furthermore, let's dig into the stats and analytics and see what it means, underneath the surface, right? Stats on the level playing field, stats are stats. Underneath that, that's when you need to start to peel layer by layer by layer and compare it to their play on the field. We can talk about stats till we're blue in the face, but it means nothing unless we can coordinate that with their play on the field. Aiden Hutchinson. Now, funny as it may be, I could go back and dig up the receipts. But Aiden Hutchinson said this just 2 days ago, or 3 days ago. I think it was on the 22nd of July. It was Sirius XM's radio training camp journey around the league, and stop one was in Detroit. So I think it was Tuesday. It had to be Tuesday. What have I said about Marcus Davenport and Aiden Hutchinson last year? And when they first started, what did I say then and all the way through the offseason? I said when Aiden was in the game with Marcus, Aiden had some of his best games. And that's because Marcus does a hell of a job. You have to shade to Marcus's side too. Not all the protections need to slide towards Aiden. You legit have to worry about Marcus Davenport. They are two totally different style of defensive ends. And that's what a 4-3 or 4-2 base defense is all about. You have a speed end somewhere, left or right side, and then you have your can crusher or your bull rusher on the other side. Marcus is the run stuffer, the pocket crusher, right? He's supposed to push everything to the other side, force the offense to go in a different direction. But he's also designed so that he can hold up his end, right? Set that edge to, again, force the offense to go in a direction it doesn't want to go. Aiden is the style of defensive end to get after the quarterback, to make some plays in the backfield. Like, that's what he's designed to do. Maybe drop back in coverage a little bit more or better than what Davenport's going to do. This defense isn't designed to have two Aidens. No 4-3, 4-2 defense really is. You need a bigger, stronger, stouter guy. Not to say Aiden's not. He is. But Marcus has a different level of strength, and he plays with a different style to his game than what Aiden does. Like Davenport said, I'm a little bit more rigid. Aiden's a little bit more fluid, right? And that's the truth. But Davenport brings something to this game. Yeah, he can still get sacks. He absolutely can still get sacks. And he's done it. You know, when I go back and look at some of his highlights, even going back to, or his stat highlights, even going back to 2019, he was drafted in 2018, but going back to 2019, he produced 6 sacks. And that was in 14 games. And I think that they had a bye week in week 9 that year. So that was in 13 games. He had 6 sacks. What would those other 4 games have been? Probably could have added another couple of sacks to it. So if Marcus Davenport gets anywhere between 6 and 10 sacks this year, that's a huge bonus, right? You don't expect more than that. You shouldn't. I don't think anybody does. I mean, anyone that's just going around saying Aiden should get 20 and Davenport should get 15 and Aleem should get 10 and Tyleek should get 5. No, that's just not how it works. It's very few and far between do you have a lot of guys getting north of 10 sacks in the league. Like, to get to 10 is difficult. That's why there's not that many people that do it. So don't sell yourself with all of this false news and fake media reporting, or these content creators that are saying that they must get 10 sacks or they're crap. No. Like saying Josh Paschal, and again, I'm not picking on you full slate, but saying like Josh Paschal doesn't get sacks. That's not his job. He's a hybrid defensive tackle / defensive end who got put into a defensive end role primary last year because of the injuries. His number one goal is to stand up the end. That's it. To stand up and secure that edge, stuff the run. That is what our defense is predicated on. Stop the run by any means necessary. If you're constantly flying into the backfield, you're leaving a gap open. When you leave that gap open, they can run right through it. So if you're constantly flying both sides into the backfield, now you've left 2 gaps open. You can't leave 2 gaps open and then think that your linebackers or your DBs are going to be able to close those gaps for you, because then they're not doing their job. The ball's just going to go over their head downfield. So you have to think more of a broad stroke here. Each one of these guys has a job to do. But what Aiden said is that Marcus is a heck of an athlete. And that when he's looking at Marcus and he's on, the line and he's like, man, if I don't get there, this guy is. He's got that much confidence in Marcus because he's seen how good of an athlete he is in practice. So this year in practice, Davenport is the one they're talking about. We haven't even heard anything of Aiden yet. Outside that he looks good, looks like he's in good shape, expected him to come back and maybe be a better player than he was last year. But we haven't heard of Aiden blowing up any plays, getting sacks, TFLs early in camp. That's been all Marcus Davenport. That means something. And I'm not saying that Aiden can't do it. Pads come on today, so we're going to know quickly today, what's really going on in practice, right? I get it that you are concerned that Marcus can't stay healthy. But I'm going to throw it back to what I said to kind of start this thing. If you can trust Aiden to come back twice from major injuries, why can't you treat Marcus the same way? Last year was not his fault, right? I could understand that if he's at home playing basketball or something and he tears up his knee, you could blame him for that because it wasn't football related. Or if he's out on a jet ski and, hurts his back, you could blame him for that because it wasn't football related. But playing the game of football comes with injuries. And last year, Paris Johnson ripped, chopped, pulled his arm and tore that tricep off the bone. That was not his fault. Now, the year prior to that, I don't even remember what the injury was in 2023. I think I have it pulled up here. It's not even showing an injury for him in 2023. He's had an inguinal hernia in 2024. That was, I believe, week 2. He missed week 2. And then in 2022, they reported an ankle injury. He had a pedal ankle injury in January. He had a shoulder injury in November that he missed week 12 and 13. He was placed on IR ahead of week 2 because of a shoulder injury. So he had a shoulder injury to start 2021 that just never went away. Again, you can't blame him for that stuff. That's not like you can protect yourself against that. However, if you're tackling the right way, if you're in the right position, you can try to prevent some of that stuff. Like Dan said the other day, or Calvin said the other day, we don't want AC joints and shoulders laying out on the field. We got to do things the right way. And again, it's not to say that Marcus hasn't. I have full confidence. You've heard it from Dan. You've heard it from Brad. Okay, throw both of those out the window because it's coach and GM speak. Your leader of this defense next to Jack Campbell, Aiden Hutchinson, just stood up and said Marcus is a hell of a football player. Well, he said he's a really great athlete. And that he trusts Marcus on the other side. And he said that he is one of the best defensive ends that he's played with yet. Those are words from Aiden. So trust him. Don't trust me. I'm just going to report it. So Thanks, Brett Lighton. It was a bicep tear in 23. So not good, right? Bicep, tricep tear. I wonder if it was the same arm and if he just wasn't fully healed and they took advantage of it, right? Where, you know, they went after that arm, which is shitty. I mean, that's totally shady if that happened. But, you know, just going through his injury history, yeah, there's a lot of little stuff that has to get reported. Go look at every player's injury history. There's usually a ton of stuff that's reported that you don't really hear about unless you're going and looking for it. But I'll say this, we bring in Carlton Davis, and a lot of people were excited about it last year. I was less excited in the beginning because he missed 23% of the game's lifetime. Every single year, he was averaging 23, which is like 6 games missed a year. And guess what? It happened again last year. So he gave us, 14 or 13 good games last season and then missed the rest of the year when we really needed him to make that run into the postseason. If you're going to get mad at Marcus Davenport because of an injury that he couldn't stop from happening, what about Carlton Davis, man? He couldn't stop that injury either. Who ends up with a broken jaw playing football? You don't hear that stuff. Just very odd things last year happened to the Lions, and I'm not going to blame the player, but what I am going to take note of is what he did to overcome, what he did to try to prove to the Lions fan base that he wants it. He wants to play for this team. He wants to win in Detroit. He wants to bring a Super Bowl home for you guys, for all of us. He wants to stay healthy and play a whole season. But I'll say this last thing on this is, and then I want to go through some of his stats just to kind of remind you of the player that he is. Aiden Hutchinson said it best. You know, that when he's on the other side, he can trust it. And he's got another guy that can get home. He's got another guy that can be disruptive. He's got another guy that can cause chaos, like Brad said. That's all we need. We don't need a $40 million guy on the other side because they're going to do the same thing. You don't know if they're going to get injured. You could sign Trey Hendrickson today. In week 3, he could have his tricep pulled off his bone. Are you blaming Trey then and calling him some loser? Probably not. Let's give the guy an opportunity, man. And furthermore, like Davenport said, just leave the dude alone. And I'll be straight up with this. Like, cyberbullying is a problem in this country, in this world. The hatred that Lions fans just spew for some of these players is crazy to me. I don't understand it. I think that the goal is we want these guys to win, right? The more positive energy you put out there, the better they're going to feel about themselves. They know who they are. They know what kind of player they are, but we've seen players leave this team, Josh Reynolds, because he said the media was so toxic. He didn't want to, and the fans were so toxic towards him after that NFC Championship game that he did not want to come back. You have legitly scared guys to play for this, scared guys away to play for this team. We need as much positivity out there to bring these guys in. Doesn't mean you can't be critical. Like, that's part of the job. That's part of what media does. And you guys know me. I'm more of an investigative, independent journalist than anything. I like to investigate things. That's what I like. I like law. That's the style of media that I do. But trashing people, I try not to do. I know that there's a couple of people out there that just run their mouth about me. I get that. But see, I'm not going to respond to it all the time, right? Or hardly ever. But these guys aren't going to respond to it either. But you've seen it in this interview the other day, how much it's bothered Davenport. I think that should tell you something. Like, let's try to treat these dudes with a little bit of respect. They're doing things that you or I could never have done. Right? I think that deserves respect in and of itself. Again, you can be critical. That's part of it. That's part of the job. But you have to do it with facts and stats and analytics and back it up, right? Just running your mouth with an opinion, that's one thing. Everybody has those. Right? That's not breaking news. But being able to bring some things forward, to talk about these guys and say, look, they should work or they shouldn't work because of X, Y, and Z. Yep, he's had some issues with some injuries, but look what he does when he's healthy. And that's what we're going to do right now. So let's take a look at Marcus Davenport when he's healthy. Or as healthy as he has been throughout his career, I should say. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. All right. So this is 2018, I believe. 2019. This is 2019. Actually, I got to back that out just a hair. There we go. Let me slim it down too. So back in 2019, it was probably one of his better seasons to date. But I just want to paint this picture, and we'll kind of look at each year here. Who is Marcus Davenport when he's healthy? What can he do to help this defense? So looking at his snap counts, obviously he had plenty of snap counts. As you can see, he's getting the majority of snap counts. 533 through what was 13 games, including that bye week, or 14 games, including the bye week. So a few more games that season. It was a 16-game season, right? But they weren't playing 17 games until 2021. So he only missed, 3 games that year. That's it. 3 games. Jared Goff missed 3 games in 2021. I don't hear anyone crying over that. So look at his grades. Week 1, I mean, not the greatest overall at 52.8, but his pass rush was the better of all grades at 61.8. Okay, look at the next week versus LA. 84.5 total defense, 71.7 in tackling, 81.6 in pass rush. He ended up with 7 tackles, 1 sack, 2 hits, 4 hurries in that game. That's a hell of a stat line for this guy. It's a hell of a stat line in one game. If he could just do that every game, that would be incredible. Week 3 against Seattle. Good offense back then. 73.9 overall on defense. 78.7 against the run. Not so great against, in the pass rush. Coverage was a lot better that game. So obviously a different type of a scheme. Probably this game versus Seattle, they had more of a passing threat. He had 5 tackles, one quarterback hit, 4 hurries. Pretty good game. Is that 3 TFLs, I think, to the right? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Whoops. There we go. All right, week 3, that was Seattle, I'm sorry. Week 4 against Dallas. And by the way, both of those games there, week 2 and week 3 were away. So he's at home against Dallas, 69.8 overall defense. Terrible day in tackling. 70.1 in the pass rush. So I can imagine that maybe Dak Prescott maybe got the better of him in that game. I'm just going out on a limb here to say that possibly could be what happened, going up against a mobile and definitely more of a dual threat quarterback back then than he is today. 7 tackles, no sacks, 2 hits, 5 hurries. Still a good stat line, man. Getting those pressures in there. 7 pressures on the day. I'm sorry, that's total pressures, not tackles. 7 pressures. So the first line here is all pressure. If you're getting 4, 5, 6, 7 pressures in a game, that's good. Especially when you expect the other guys on the team to get some too. Tampa Bay, 76.5 overall, 73 in the pass rush. 7 pressures, including 2 sacks in that game. Let's get down to some of his better games. In Atlanta, week 13, 90.4 on defense, 79.1 in pass rush. 5 pressures, 2 sacks, 1 hurry, 2 hits on the quarterback. So overall through that season, he has 51 pressure in 13 games. 51 pressures in 13 games. 6 sacks, 35 hurries, 10 quarterback hits. His overall was 84.1 on defense and a 73.6 in pass rush. That's pretty solid stuff. Now, what I haven't done is I have not compared him to anybody else, but I will do that in the video, I promise, because I think that it's warranted. I do want to compare him against some of the other guys, and let's kind of see where he ranks. The one thing that I couldn't find is the pass rush win rate every year for Marcus Davenport. Let me ask my bot here real quick if he can find it for me. All right, while that's working, this is 2020 season, okay? He didn't play until week 5, so he had some injuries that kept him out through week 5 and whatever. I think week 6 was a bye week. But he got started right away against the Chargers with a 71.3, a 66.4 in pass rush. He had 3 pressures that day, one hit, 2 hurries on the quarterback. The next week against Carolina, pretty damn good game, man. 83.6 overall, 70.5 in pass rush. Tackling grade off the chart, 73.6. 2 pressures in that game, 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit. Or one quarterback hurry. Against Chicago, week 8, again, really good game. 83.7 overall, 73.8 in tackling, 79.4 in pass rush. These tackling grades, I mean, they're really good. That's exactly what you're hoping to get out of a guy stopping the run game. 7 pressures in this game, 1 sack, 1 hurry. 1 hit, 5 hurries against the quarterback. A couple of bad games in here. I mean, week 15 against the Chiefs, week 16 against Minnesota. Not the greatest of games for him. Still got some pressures, right? Still had some hurries, but he didn't have great games. But you know what? There's some games that you can look at Aiden's stats, and they're not the greatest either. Let's just look at the overall. 74.8 this year overall defense, 73.3 in pass rush, 68.4 in tackling, 37 pressures. Now, he played in the playoffs this year. So 17, 16, 15, 14. So he missed week 13. And he missed week 6. So that's 2. He missed six games. So 5 games this year in 2020. And he still ended up at 37 pressures and only 2 sacks on the season. So a down year in sacks. But again, he missed several games. Look what he did in the first playoff game in the wild card. 77.2 and a 78.5 in pass rush. Those are really good scores. Look what he did in the divisional round. 63.5 and a 74.1. Again, those are actually pretty decent scores when you're going up against the best competition. He got a couple of pressures, no sacks. Obviously, we would like to see, the pressures and the sack rates a little bit higher. Let's move on to 2021. So that COVID year, right? I mean, not everybody had the greatest seasons, in the COVID year or in the COVID year following. Now, the pass rush win rate, if someone wants to do this behind the scenes, it's pass rush wins versus pass rush opportunities. And a pass rush win is when the defender beats his blocker within 2.5 seconds. A pass rush opportunity is any down and distance situation considered a pass play. Now, I could go figure all this stuff out, but I'm going to try to find it later on today. All right, so 2021, right? Yeah, 2021. Really good scores again. Look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games that he's pulling some elite scores. Overall defense above 83.8, one at 89.1, another one touches a 90.8. He's got a 92.6 in tackling for a high score. Really good season. Look at those scores, man. 88.8 overall, 73.0 in run defense, 72.6 in tackling, and an 82 in pass rush. 42 pressures, 9 sacks on the season. Let's see how many games he missed. So he missed week 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's 5 games. 12 and 13, that's 7. So he missed 7 games, which one of them was a bye week. So 6 games he missed, and he had 9 sacks. 9 sacks and 42 pressures. Let me give you the average here. Let's do the average. So this is a 17-game season. And he missed, let's see, it was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 12 and 13. So he missed 6 games that year, which means he did all that in 11 games. So he had 9 sacks divided by 11 games. That's 0.82 sacks per game. Multiply that by 17 games. That's a 14 sack season. 14 sack season. So 42 pressures divided by 11 games. That's 3.8 pressure per game. Multiply that by 17. That's a 65 pressure season. Pretty damn good stats. Now imagine adding that to the opposite of Aiden. I think that everyone would be elated. Now compare that to Zadarius Smith. It's almost identical. Their stats would be almost identical if he played in every single game. And I get it. That's the caveat. He has not played in every single game. Okay, let's move into 2022. Look, I'm seeing much of the same here. I mean, look at this bulk of scores right here between week 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. A lot of green. You got some blue over here, 90.9 in pass rush. I mean, you could consider this to be a down year with some of his scores. But again, his averages, 76.8 overall, 75 in pass rush. 69.7 in tackling, 34 pressures on the year, 1 sack. So a down year in production. Let's see how many games he missed. So he missed 10 and 11, 14. So he missed 3 games, and one of them was a bye. So he missed 2 games that year. So great scores, right? So he's doing enough to push the pocket, right? To push the ball to the other side to let somebody else clean it up. His production scores were not the greatest, but I'll take it. I would take it, especially knowing what we have on this defense. This just now requires what? Brian Branch to come down and clean up something. It requires Jack Campbell to free fire out of the linebacker or out of the middle of the field and sending a linebacker blitz because Marcus Davenport is freeing up a hole, freeing up a position, right? You got Aiden on the other side that's going to be able to eat all day long, which is exactly what he did. Obviously, in 23, bad season. He missed the entire season. And he didn't get off to a great start. He was obviously hurt this year. But he pulled down 2 quick sacks in 4 games that he only played 118 snaps in. And then obviously we know what happened last year. Not a great start to his career in Detroit. He pulled down a sack in game 1 against LA and 6 total pressures in that game. Now, if I remember correctly, Aiden also had like 4 or 5 pressures in this game and a sack. We'll just take a look. We'll go to 2024 week 1. Aiden had 11 pressures in this game and a sack. So you combine these two knuckleheads together, and we're talking some electric stuff. You know, Aiden is in a tier above Marcus Davenport. We're never going to try to compare. We're never going to try to compare Aiden to Davenport. I think that would just be silly, right? You've got Myles Garrett in tier 1, 1A. You've got Aiden Hutchinson in tier 1B. And you have Marcus Davenport is probably in tier 2 or 3. Remove the injuries, remove the missed games, solely look at production. And I would say that you have a player that he can make it happen. The one thing I wanted to look at too, let me pull this back up here in just a second. I want to get the overall picture. I don't remember where to find it. I'll just do that in the video. What I'm looking for is I want the overall picture from all years for Davenport. And then kind of compare that. Oh, here we go. This kind of helps. Let me pull this up.
Well, it's been a long...
Oh, sorry, wrong one. Let me adjust the screen for you. This kind of paints a good picture here. This is his career defensive grades. Okay, so by the numbers, every year, 69.7 in year 1, 84.1 in year 2, 74.8 in year 3, 88.8 in year 4, 76.8 in year 5, and the last 2 seasons that he was injured. If you get Davenport back to his average, right, in the seasons that he played the most, I'll even include the 69.7 in his rookie year, which is actually I won't. Let's include his second year because that's when players make their biggest jump, or supposed to. The best of Davenport, we'll do 4 years. He's an 81.2 in overall defense between year 2 and year 5. 81.2. Now, if we include that rookie year, that's a 78.8. And that is an extremely good score. Now, I'm not going to include the last 2 years because they really don't count. They really don't. And I don't think anyone would argue that. So, final takes. Let's take a look at this poll. What happened here? I'm curious. All right. Wow. I'm surprised. 56 votes. 86% say that they have faith in Marcus Davenport to produce if he stays healthy. Now, I didn't get a chance to really look at all the comments in here. I'm going to go back and look later. But anyway, hopefully we learned a little bit about Marcus Davenport. I know that this guy doesn't want us really talking about him, but it is what it is, man. It's time for him to produce. It's time for the Lions to do what they need to do to win football games. And I think that having Davenport on the roster versus off the roster, especially when we're paying the guy peanuts, right? Paying the guy peanuts. So it all works. And even if it doesn't work out, the Lions aren't going to lose a whole lot. So Full Slate Farms, you're asking if I'm going to head to camp to do any reports. I will see, but I don't have a Lions credential. I have an NFL credential, but you have to get a Lions credential from the Lions. And honestly, even if I would have got one this year with everything that I have going on, I probably wouldn't have been able to make a lot of camp. I'm a part-timer because this isn't a full-time job for me. So I would have been able to be a part-timer. Maybe next year we'll get a little bit more, but I have tickets to pretty much every practice. I'll do some reports from practice. If you remember last year, I would always go live after practice underneath the trees right outside of Allen Park and kind of give you my report. And that was where I believe I first told you guys last season, man, we had a really good defense. And that was, I think, July 29 or 30, whatever the first practice was. I love it. I love it, man. I love going to practice because that's where you get a really good idea of who these guys are. What are we talking about in the chat here? Renaissance festivals? I love how we go from football to things that are non-football. All right, final comments on Brad, on Brad and Dan and Aiden. They see it, right? They see the vision. They see the potential, and I would agree. I look at the stats. I see something that can translate to the field. If he's on the field, Marcus Davenport is going to have a big impact here in 2025. That's really it, man. So we went, I don't know, 30 minutes over? Yeah, 43 minutes over. That's okay. That's all right. We got tickets to give away. So if you're a rookie, we also have training camp jackets to give away. Tomorrow, I'm just telling you right now, there's going to be a pop-up live. Training camp is starting. The first practice open, I believe, is tomorrow for season ticket holders. And yeah, if you want training camp jackets, if you're a rookie subscriber, get your opportunity now. Turn notifications on. Subscribe to the channel, because when I pop up, things are going to be given away. And if you're late to the party, you're not going to win. So, all right, that's it for today. Appreciate you guys. As always, you are the best part of Rockdown Detroit Lions. Thank you to each and every one of you for participating. We'll see you guys in the next one. Go in pride, go Detroit Lions. Take care.